Hey, this is Up Cool Weed Nerd.
And Ms. Jill.
Get your bowls.
And your bongs.
Your pipes, your vaporizers.
And your big fat blunts.
It's time to get high with the weed nerd. Well, I'm a weed nerd. Just call me smoke a lot. Don't give me that nigga on that crack. Now we no study that. Weed nerd. Nothing but the high grade. So won't you come my way? So won't you come my way? Weed nerd. Don't give me that nigga on that crack. Now we no study that. Weed nerd. Nothing but the high grade. Smoke a lot of herb, smoke a lot of herb.
Come on, weed nerds, let's all get down to that old school sound with that K-Lou pound. Put seeds in the ground, tilling up the dirt. Shovel in my hand and I'm putting in work. Weed nerd, connoisseur, growing the killer. In the backyard with the mountain gorilla. Game stiller, still another, what you think? Miss Jill's got tips on growing the dank. Cheese plate, Aldo, Indo funky. Time rep hash laced in my blunt seat. Skunky, smelly, space bomb sticky. Stepped in the dough, got the whole team with me. Iggy Pops, my city's hot. Ukiah, California, got the green on lock. Chillin' in my weed crop, blowing some herb. Dope boy, OD, yeah, I'm a weed nerd.
What's up, everyone? If I can remember to unmute my mic, get the show started. Once again, it's time for our show. We are really excited tonight. I want to shout out to my mods. They've been working really hard tonight. We've got some awesome guests tonight. We have Method 7 in to talk about lights and lenses, glasses. And we have Dan in from Timber Grow. So it should be a pretty cool show. It's geared toward lights, spectrum, and new glasses. So as you guys know, most of us use Method 7s when we're in a grow room to see or to photograph, take pictures and stuff like that. So it's going to be cool to learn a little bit about the technology. And then a little bit later in the show, we're going to find out about white LED technology and how both of these technologies can be viewed together and work together. Also, please stick around toward the end of the show tonight. We're going to be doing a charity auction to try to finish raising money for Josh. We've got around $1,200 of the $1,500 goal. I want you guys to know that he just texted Sid and let us know how much he appreciates the love of the weed nerds. Just awesome. So, and if you don't know, Josh is an Alpha 1 just like me. He's on the lung transplant list. And so he's actually trying right now to do everything he needs to get on the transplant list. So he actually bought a car himself. That means he was broke as hell. And the starter went bad and the car he broke. So we got him $700 this week, guys. When he needed it the most, off that account with $1,500. Also, tonight we'll be raising money for Katrina Rosas-Salas. Malik will put that link up in the channel. That's going to be our next charity. So we really want to thank everyone for donating all during the week. We've had some amazing donations. So hang around. Make sure you've got some really cool stuff. I know the people wanted the Toker chip. We're going to have Toker chips available there. So I want to check in real quick with everybody on the panel. Let's start, of course, with our head producer, Dung Beetle. How are you doing tonight, big guy?
Doing good, brother. We're excited. We got a really good show lined up. Like you said, we've got Method 7. We've got Timber Grow Lights. We worked real hard on this. And I think it's going to be an amazing show. So we're excited to have you guys for sure. And we're looking forward to it. These guys are going to chop it up and make some good stuff happen. So let's see what magic we can come up with tonight. I'm excited.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And we're going to kick it over to our media director, Malik, the Power Mod. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing very well. Super excited to reach our goal for Josh Secroy Jr. or Josh Secroy Sr. Reaching the goal to get him a vehicle. Very excited for that. And Timber Grow Lights, the pioneer of the DIY and frameworks together in one company. Very excited for tonight. So.
Awesome. Awesome. And I'd let you guys know that a lot of the stuff that you see happening in the show is responsible for Malik. I got to say, my audio producer's in the back, Sid. He's hanging out, doing what Sid does. We got to make sure we don't give him a 1,000 milligram brownie too early tonight. So I want to give another shout out to Minnesota Nice up in the house tonight. How are you doing, big guy?
Oh, we're doing great over here. Thank you, everybody, for having me with you tonight. I appreciate it. You know, we're just getting nerdy on the farm over here, doing what we normally do, practicing our no-till techniques and expanding our knowledge and learning every day and applying what we soaked up. And, you know, we're just rocking out over here doing our thing. So
Awesome, awesome. Did you see? I don't know if you noticed, we dumped another 5 pounds of the cover crop, the Build the Soil Comfrey 12 blend cover crop. We got that down. We got our worms. You weren't shitting. The Alabama jumpers jumped right out of the bag onto the ground. Just like you told me.
Yeah, those are some great worms, though. You're gonna be happy with your investment on those. So.
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
Yeah,
they do not fuck around. And then last but not least, pretty cool picture on Instagram. We light the garden every night for 2 hours to make sure we don't revert. So enough with the silliness. Let's get started. I want to kick it over to James and Laura with Method 7. First time we've talked to you guys, but I mean, I've been representing your company for almost a decade now. I think we got our first pair.
You can't live without them.
You cannot
see. Grow without them. No. You can't see your plants. You can't identify the problems with the plants. You can't take pictures. Like we were talking earlier, they're maybe in the process of making our cell phones so that we can quit using glasses.
We welcome you to the show, and please tell us the story of Method 7 and how it's leaving a footprint in the industry.
Well, that's great. Well, we love the show. We appreciate all the love and support, and we've been super pleased with just how things have been going. As you say, it's been about a decade for us, including all the development of the product. We've been kind of pounding the pavement since about 2011. And just a little backstory on Method 7, our founder, Jeff Goldberg, who is known as Freebie, he was a photographer for years for High Times and also National Geographic. Really fantastic grower, a high pressure sodium guy. And Jeff was challenged taking photos in grow rooms under high pressure sodium. And he got a clue from the glass blowing industry that they had glasses that helped shift color for glass blowing. And he was like, I wonder what's going on with that glass. So that was about 2010 or so. And Jeff went over to Germany and started working with a bunch of glass chemists trying to solve this problem. How do I balance high pressure sodium light? Well, how do I get it so that lighting is cool? This is Lauren, by the way. Method 7 customer service. Okay, don't want to get too technical. You guys are the weed nerds and we're the nerd nerds because we're mostly a bunch of engineers and scientists at Method 7. And so we spend a lot of time with lab stuff, geeking out. Less time with plants, unfortunately. So back to Jeff. So Jeff goes to Germany, finds this retired glass chemist who in World War II was designing glass for the jet cockpits and fighter jets, German fighter jet cockpits. He was doing all the glass work for them to find like UV and contrast enhancement. So what they figured out was that if they took rare earth elements, neodymium, praseodymium, all these earth elements, melted it into glass, that they could create an incredible magic lens that would just knock out high pressure sodium back to daylight. So actually this little thing is cool. If you grab that and you want to use, pass me that. So it's pretty technical. It started with a lot of science, and Method 7 back in 2010, we spent all this time trying to get this lens. And what we're trying to do is, if you people have been in a high pressure sodium grow room, you know it's so yellow. There's just all this yellow light. And underneath all that yellow is natural daylight. So if you look at this list, there's 11 elements that are inside our glass. So it's really, really heavy duty science. And all this stuff is blended into the glass and it melts. That's probably cool. We don't want to get too technical. But our glass is blue, and it's not blue because we wanted it to be blue. It's not blue because we put dye in it. It's blue because all those elements in there react with light and make it blue. It's kind of like when you look at the sky. The sky's not blue because somebody squirted a bunch of blue smoke up there. It's the way the light refracts that causes it to be blue.
Oh shit! It's refracting basically the light that we don't want to see. It's reflecting the light backwards. Is that how it's working?
Well, it's kind of filtering it, and basically with daylight, there's a whole bunch of light out there in the world, and in grow rooms, it's concentrated. The high pressure sodium is just concentrated, and what we do is just knock that down and leave balanced color. So basically, that was the foundation of the company. We had to go to Germany. We melted 6 tons of glass to get this right. And they made all these cool little hockey pucks for us, which then we brought to Italy. and we ground them and polished them into nice lenses and then put them in frames. So I don't know if this will, I'll try and grab this graph. Okay. We'll be a little technical for a couple minutes and then we'll mellow out. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so basically this is just a graph that represents, this would be daylight up here, big chunk of energy, lots of light. And high pressure sodium in a grow room is a bulb that has this one big peak here. It's a big red peak. And many of you know where high pressure sodium came from. Those are street lights. Those of us that wanted to make our first grow rooms went, oh wow, look at those big bulbs up there. We got lucky.
Yeah.
We got lucky that street lights made really good plants, because what if that wasn't the case? I don't know what, we'd burn a lot of candles. But so high pressure sodium light has this big popping peak of red energy. And what the Method 7 lens does is it says, okay, you know, there's a little bit of light in here that we want to knock this down. So our lens comes in here and it cuts that red, takes all that out. Okay. And it eliminates all this other stuff. So basically this flattens this and balances it. So once we did this for the high pressure sodium, and the plant world got all kinds of other lights going on, LEDs and white LEDs, and there's metal halide, many of us know there's a whole bunch of different spectrums. And all those spectrums have a different curve, and we can design a lens to neutralize each one of those. So that's probably enough of enough university talk there.
No, but that, I mean, that makes sense. And I always wondered how the hell it worked. So I do appreciate a little bit of tech stuff. So are prescription lenses available for Method 7s? Like if you have a prescription, can you special order?
Yeah, we had a program. We're starting up with the new lab, so that'll be something where we have probably in about another month it's coming online. And we have clip-ons right now for people with prescription. But many people just ask, you know, why do you want glasses in a grow room anyway? What's the big deal? I mean, so many of us grew for 20 years and we didn't have Method 7s. You know, we had either sunglasses or we just kind of dealt with that environment. And there's like a couple reasons to wear. The obvious one would be just comfort. And you walk in a grow room and if you have the right lenses on, it's comfortable. But more importantly, you can actually see the color of your plants. You can kind of really identify when there's a problem, when it's time to harvest. I mean, as we know, so much of that is color information. And the Method 7 is such perfect color that you can actually make critical decisions and harvesting decisions right in the grow room. Again, in the old days, you'd have to change the lights, take a little clipping, go outside, see what's going on. And actually, kind of fun story, the first prototype Method 7s that we made with Jeff, we went over to a friend's garden. He said, come on over real quick. It's like, I'm going to harvest this weekend, so come on over if you want to check out the girls with the new glasses. And we go in there for the first time with the glasses, and he walks in, first thing he says is, fuck, this is amazing. And then he looks over and he goes, oh, wow, I shouldn't be harvesting. I got a couple more days. So he, you know, it was like that was the first clue we got about what great tools these are going to be for folks. So, you know, it's a combination of things. You know, you want color because it's smart, but the benefit of color we learned is that if you have the right color, your brain relaxes. Because the way our brain works and our eyes, I mean, our eyes and our brains evolved with natural daylight. You know, that's just history, right? And in order to see depth of field, to see plants moving in the wind, color information is super important. If you don't have proper, you know, your brain.
I wanted to tell you, James, right? Just so you'll love this story to step on you. So we were just a little bit behind the curve with you guys. So we met each other at the right time, but I did equipment that I needed when I was shooting for Dank. So I used to drag my damn plants out of the bud room into a studio to take pictures. And that's how I learned, you know, that, like you say, the high pressure sodiums will lie to you. They'll fool you. Many times me and Jill would think the plants were ready to harvest. We'd drag them out to take pictures for a magazine or whatever. And we'd say, oh shit, they're not ready. And it was only a few years later that we started using the Method 7s. But even then, y'all didn't have lenses yet. I know Doug's got some really fancy Method 7 filters for his Nikon. And man, would you have saved me a lot of backaches, those badasses. So if you are a photographer and you don't like dragging your plants out of the damn bud room into a studio, and more importantly, check how deep this gets, James. I didn't use canopy nets my whole life because I had to drag my plants out into the studio to take pictures of them. So it literally affected the way I ended up growing. To this day, I use stakes and supports. So this technology does, in my opinion, does so much more than just allow you to see your plants. I've made quite a living taking pictures of marijuana plants. And so you guys provide the ability for a photographer to walk into a grow room with the lights on, not have to drag the shit out into a special room with special lighting. All he needs is a tripod and bam.
It works for video cameras.
It works for video camera.
Picture I take of my grow room is using Method 7.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give a shout on that way because me and Jill took a lot of pictures. Both of us are published like hell. Dung Beetle's working very hard to get published, and you guys are responsible for a lot of pictures you see nowadays. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. And for sure, Sub, I'll second that because these guys have absolutely made my life easy as far as being able to take pictures and to do what I do and not have to do what you went through. You know, I couldn't rip my plants out, bro. I'm in hydro. I can't take them out of my room. So without these guys, I mean, you saw my last pictures there. They're good, but they're not good enough because they didn't have the filter and it was under sodium and it washes out everything no matter what you do. You know, unless you got these, you're pretty well screwed.
They work. And I'll tell you something else. I'm talking, but you'll learn this too, Dung. I mean, you can make white balance corrections with. I mean, you totally have that ability, but it's just so much easier when your camera's set up to naturally just go in somebody's grow room and pop off a bunch of pictures. I mean, that's where you can make your bread and butter. Go in those giant grow rooms down in Colorado. So, anyway, so I wanted to ask Laura and James. So, what that you guys really are more technical, more engineers and everything, but I know you said you do come from a growing background. Do you guys actually grow? And if you do or don't, what's your favorite strain to consume or cultivate?
Yeah, I've been growing years because I'm so busy with traveling, and man, it would be mean to my plants if I tried to grow anything with my schedule. But Lauren's got answers to those probably.
My partner grows occasionally, not super often. We do veggie growing every year, and we just got that set up a little late. Just some lettuce, tomatoes, all the greens really. And then as far as strains go, we haven't grown probably in a year, but as far as favorite to consume lately has been a local strain, sea banana from Utopia Farms. We like that at home. And then we've also been a fan of Tangy at home.
Yeah, Utopia is right on our hood. We're in Santa Cruz, California, and the folks at Utopia do a great job, and it's kind of a nice local market for us.
My house is easy, so we have to keep all of our garden outside, unfortunately.
We just had all the Mendo Dope crew last night. They played at the Catalyst and did a great show. The place is still kind of smoky in here from them visiting.
I saw. So,
that's definitely
we'll
how we
make
leave
sure,
the footprint.
Always. We want to make sure that we get your information before everything's all over. We'll make sure we get some TGA genetics in your library. So if you have the chance, we'll get you some running up. I think Jill's got to step away for just a little bit.
Yep, got to get to tending dinner.
I appreciate it very much.
Right.
We'll see you in a little bit, baby.
All right, thanks.
Bye, Miss Jill.
Okay.
Bye.
So,
Later, Miss Jill.
would you please tell us about what new products Method 7 is working on? Possibly new light spectrums or new products that you guys are thinking about releasing to the market.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, we started with the high pressure sodium, and we were all growing with high pressure sodium, and this is before the LED market started up. We innovated an LED lens that was for the most common spectrum, that real purple spectrum. And I've actually got some friends of ours. They'll get this up here. So most people know this whole spectrum. Let's see if it fires up. So, these are friends of ours in the UK, Budmaster. So this was the kind of real magenta typical spectrum. And we found a way to balance that. I think if I do, let me just see if this works, if this trick works. don't know if that's going to balance the light.
Hell yeah.
So that's a Method 7 lens, kind of balancing that magenta.
Yeah.
And so that was a big deal for us. Taught us that we could do pretty much any spectrum we wanted. And now, as we're going to find out later in the show as well, a lot of the market for LED is shifting to a full spectrum LED.
Which tend to be a lot more white than the red and purples that we've gotten used to. And so we're working on getting a lens to balance that out, and I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, we actually have some prototypes right now. So it's interesting with a white light, a white LED, you think, well, why do I need glasses for that? Because it's white, and I don't need to adjust the color. But you do. There's a lot of blue light that's in this full spectrum, the typical full spectrum. There's a lot of blue, and that's a little bit of energy that kind of irritates and makes you less comfortable. So we're able to take that out, and we're able to take out any kind of infrared heat that might be in there. So what we're seeing is a lot of variations of light with the different LED manufacturers, and we have to kind of figure out how to build a lens for either specific ones or more general. We're also seeing some companies experimenting with more UV. And UV, as you guys probably know, I mean, a little bit of UV stresses out the plants and it can make some nice resins, and there's some companies experimenting with that. But as growers, we have to be really careful because that UV can be really damaging, and you definitely want to make sure you're wearing really good shades around that.
No, that's good to know.
Yeah, so we got some new frames coming out this year. We've got the new full spectrum LED lens coming out, and I don't know if we have. Yeah, we've got some more stylish frames too that look like our Coup, but it's an Italian frame, a little different style. So we're always trying to push it. There's a balance between, wanting to make a real serious tool that just works in the grow and making something that goes outside. One of the biggest innovations in the last couple of years is our transition lens. So this lens goes from blue in the garden to like a real street sunglass when it gets some good exposure.
Oh yeah.
And that was incredibly tough to do because people are used to transitions, but not that balance high pressure sodium. Mm-hmm. So that was a big deal for us.
Would that glass work full spectrum, or will it not change unless it's under regular sun?
It's going to need UV to change, which is not going to be in the typical full spectrum LED lighting environment. This wouldn't change. It's actually kind of a cool warning device because if you're in a car, wearing those in a car and they don't change, that means that's a good sign. That means your car windshield is protecting you from UV. But interestingly, we've been in some airplanes where the front windshield wasn't blocking UV and they're changing. And you think that's crazy because airplanes are at super high altitudes where UV just cranks. And the higher up you go, it goes up exponentially.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's bad here for sure. I'm at elevation about 7,000 feet, and yeah, you're right, it's rough here. And the transition lenses have helped me tremendously because I can go straight from my grow room outside, and you look up for a few seconds, you let them change, and boom, you're done. You walk away, and everything's good to go. You don't even have to do that really. You can just walk out with them, and they'll change. I just like to make it happen quickly, so I can get her done. But yeah, no, they're a great glass, and I was. Oh, go ahead, Sub. Sorry.
I have like 6 pairs. Not like you guys haven't been beyond generous, but I didn't know about the transition. So.
Okay, we'll have to sit down. Because the thing that's so tricky, brains, we want our brains, when you switch colors quickly, that's when your brain has to adjust. Some of us can do it quickly, others not so much. As our eyes get older, they don't work as fast. And so it's really nice to put glasses on and just leave them on. Go in the grow, do your thing, step outside, and have that protection. And the blue lenses are a bit trippy for folks. Like, it's a great lens to wear outdoors. It just takes a little while to get used to it. Once you do, you realize like, wow, this is really nice. And, we've all gotten used to wearing cheap sunglasses. I mean, everybody buys them, and a cheap sunglass is basically just a dark lens, and it just flattens the light. It doesn't do anything interesting, but your brain is like looking for stuff, just like in the grow room. You're looking for color, can't find it, and it causes fatigue. And it can be really subtle,
that's why you'll find yourself driving in cheap sunglasses and you have to take them off because you feel like you can't see. There's haze and your eyes get tired and they don't have enough information to be articulate.
Yeah, and I think like if you had a little noise in the background all day long, like a hum, you'd be like, oh, that's driving me nuts. And at the end of the day, you're going to be really tired. Well, the same happens with visual stuff. If you get some weird light all day, chances are you can deal with it, but you don't realize how tired you're getting. So our glasses are one of the only ones on the market out of any sunglass brand really that absorb infrared heat energy. And we do that because of the stuff in our glass. And we find that like infrared heat, it's a low energy. People say don't worry about that low energy, but the truth is you can bake a potato with infrared if you give it enough time. So we're basically potatoes in our grow rooms getting baked. And if you wear Method 7 glass lenses, it keeps you protected. So it makes you comfortable.
Awesome.
You can cut me off anytime. I tend to talk a lot.
So, and I'm learning, James, and I appreciate it. I want to make sure everybody knows, stay tuned toward the end of the show. We'll be auctioning off a pair of operator LED Method 7s. So a lot of people out there using LED lights, so this is just what you need, color correct for your lights, and we'll be auctioning these off to raise a little bit of money for Josh a little later on. So I understand you have something come up in Toronto. It's the Expo. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're going to the Lift Expo in Toronto.
Memorial
Day weekend. And there's a lot of shows around. I know the Cup Show, High Times Cup Show is around the corner as well. We'll probably make a visit there. The Lift Show is kind of neat. I mean, all these markets change so quickly. I mean, what's going on in Washington, what's going on in Canada. And so you'll have a show one year, and the next year it can be a completely different scene depending on what that country or state has got going on with regulations. And Method 7 tries to get to as many as we can to talk to people, learn what's going on, and show people the lights. I'm amazed how many people still don't know about the glasses. And it's fun when you go to a show like that. We set up a high pressure sodium light, and some dude walks up, and you're thinking to yourself, is he a grower? Do you think he grows, or do you think she grows? And you're not sure. You just hand them a pair of glasses, and then they walk over to the light, and if they go, oh. Then okay, that guy's a grower. And if they sit there and go, what am I looking at? Then they're not. But so we still try and hit the road a lot and do about, 12 or 15 shows around the world. We go to Canifest in Prague. We do shows in Spain, Austria, all over the world.
Yeah. I think we're going to be with our buddy Green Planet up at Lift. They're going to be in our same booth with us. And so we're excited to do a little collaborative event too.
Yep.
I want to kick it over to Malik real quick. Malik, we've been throwing a link up in the chat real quick to see if any viewers had any questions. I've got several more questions for James and Laura, but does the viewers have the link real quick? I want to give the viewers a chance to get involved here.
Absolutely. Go ahead and throw your questions down in chat and in the link, guys. Pick them up.
Thank you very much. All right, so what is your best-selling product? I mean, you guys are pretty big. Most growers that I know have a pair hanging standby. So, I mean, what's your biggest market item?
Well, probably I think the Resistance, which is the original product, our best seller. It's a curved piece of glass, so it really has a lot of light protection. It's kind of been around the longest, and it just has the best magical secret sauce for high pressure sodium. And then for LEDs, there's really only one choice right now on the market until we do the full spectrum. And with that, we've got a couple different products. So we'll stick with high pressure sodium. The stylish ones, the Coup, this is kind of a classic Wayfarer, really gorgeous lens. The optical quality of this is fantastic. And so those really sell super well. But what we did is we realized there's a lot of people working in grow rooms that aren't making, cultivation decisions. There's bigger grows now. Yeah, and they wanted more of a value product. So what we did was we worked with Carl Zeiss. I don't know if you guys have heard of Carl Zeiss, but they're a 200-year-old company and based in Germany. They have factories all over the world. And we designed a polycarbonate grow lens that's pretty awesome. And we put it in a frame that's fairly inexpensive. So we're able to get a price point of like $59 And normally our glasses are a little higher than that, 149 or so. So this was a way to get an optically amazing glass, an amazing lens at an affordable rate.
Mhm.
And that's actually been selling really well for us for the past couple of years.
Especially in, you know, our little green triangle with so many commercial grows popping up. You know, you have key cultivators who are making the decisions. We often recommend get our glass lenses like the ones Doug has or the Resistance here. But, you know, with big teams, not all these new starting up companies can't always afford the full glass. So the cultivator has been really great for all the fresh cannabis companies popping up.
This is our gateway product. Once you're wearing it, you get hooked, and then you just
Then
gotta
you have
go.
6 or 7 pairs like you.
Yeah, you gotta go up to something. And then, you know, we also made an outdoor lens about 2 years ago, and it's the sun, the Method 7 Sun Spectrum, because again, we realized that even outdoors, friends that grow flowers, we have a lot of flower cultivation in California, I mean ornamental flowers, and these guys weren't wearing sunglasses, or they're constantly taking them off for the same reason we do in the grow. Okay, it's much more subtle outdoors, but we realize again, even a nice pair of Ray-Bans, they just squish all the reds and greens and blues.
Mhm.
And that's what people, you know, that's really only option you have. So with the Method 7 Sun, we actually leave a little bit of green, leave a little blue. It's a really complicated curve, but it's just darkened a little bit. So our sun lens is a pretty badass product. It's also polarized. So it's one of the big secrets, I think, in the hydro world. If you fish and you need polarized glasses, the Method 7 Sun is quite a deal. I mean, these puppies should be a couple $100.
It's only $99.
Yeah, they're $99, which we just take it in the shorts on that product. It's kind of a, you know, hey everybody, this is cool. Style our friends who do fishing and stuff.
And I gotta say, James, that's one thing that really drew me to your. I like cool glasses. I mean, everybody on the show knows I wear glasses everywhere, and I hate dorky glasses. So especially safety glasses I used to use when I was in the HVAC industry, or welding glasses. They always sucked. They had no style, and that's the first thing I noticed about you guys was the style. But I got a great story for you, and it's a commercial for real. So I told you I didn't use a canopy net because of dragging the plants out. So I always did that. And I also use stakes, bamboo stakes. I told you guys about that. Well, times in my life, Method 7 glasses have saved me from poking my fucking eye out as I bent over to check out a lower bud, and one of those bamboo stakes skirted off the lens. So, I mean, for real, I'm not joking about this. I've caught myself before I wore the glasses. And then after I was wearing the glasses all the time in the room, and whack! And it didn't take the lens out or anything. It just saved my eye. So thank you very much for doing that. The fans wanted me to ask you a couple of questions about new technology. And so a lot of us now are taking a look at ceramic metal halides, ceramic high-pressure sodiums. You've got the Gavitas, the double-ended high-intensity discharge lights. So what spectrums are these, and what's these for these giant rooms now that have all these high-intensity DE lights?
Yeah, well, the double-ended Gavita is a good one to talk about because that is a lot of light. And it's actually the same spectrum. It just ends up being a lot more energy. And so what we did is we took our classic resistance glass and we brought it to a lens coater in Italy. And they actually put silver. It's actual real silver on the lens.
That's what these guys
Yeah.
are.
And a couple of the coups and the resistance all have that silver coating.
Mhm.
So a lot of people thought we did it as a fashion thing.
Me, I did. I thought it was to be cool. I
But
swear to God.
real silver, when it's on glass, it doesn't shift the color. So we're able just to darken and give you a little more protection. And that's what we did for the double enders. That's the way to go.
And then these also have an anti-reflective coating on the inner lens too, so that'll help cut with glare in the background. And so these are what we always recommend if you're in double-ended. Get our HPS Plus lenses, and then the ceramic metal halides. Right now, what we recommend is our operator metal halide, which we have in there. That lens is what it does is it kind of balances a little bit of that intense blue and dims down the intense whiteness. And then this actually works great for traditional metal halides and ceramic metal halides.
So unfortunately, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. We've had to develop, a specific lens for each of the growth spectrums. So all the Method 7 lenses have a little designation in them. This is high-pressure sodium or HPS plus, which is the coating. And it gets a little complicated. So, folks can look on our website. They can give us a call, email us if they're having trouble figuring out exactly what they want. We also say, get a pair, try them.
You have 30 days to send them back, even if you use them for 30 days. You realize you need something else, we're happy to swap it out and make sure that you're comfortable.
But what's really cool, too, about this product is that in the 6 years or so, 6-7 years of selling our glasses, I've never had such a product that's so good at what it does. Like the high pressure sodium specifically, it's like anybody who buys one goes in their own grow room, they're never going to work without them, which is cool. And we say, look, you don't like them, you don't believe it, send them back. I don't think anyone in the whole history of the company has sent them back and said, I'm sorry, they don't work, it's cool.
We've had some folks accidentally buy some LED glasses for the HPS rooms. That didn't work.
Yep, sometimes the spectrums get crossed. But we did have one great sale a couple years ago as Colorado got legalized. We got a call from the sheriff's department in Denver, and we're like, But what happened was they wanted to buy glasses from us. So, of course, we're going to sell these to the cops, we think, because they're silver. They look like cop glasses, kind of. So somewhere in Denver, there was about 12 cops walking around with Method 7 silver glasses on. I never did get a selfie from them, but I thought
find them.
But they're just out, that was just such a funny thing. And we named this glass.
Yep.
We all think we're all underground, and now we got cops wearing them.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
Well, you also created, in my opinion, millions of shots like these are online. Jill takes them, I take them. Almost everybody takes the shot where they hold the glasses where you can see the yellow around the frames and you see that perfectly grown cannabis bud. I mean, it just cracks me up how many times I see that online. So, you create your own genre on social.
It's the easiest way to explain how our glasses work. Just look.
Yeah, that's the money shot. And it's pretty nice. So as we said, it's kind of confusing, but we've got different lenses for each of the grow lights. And folks that are running a couple mixed lights, we usually just say go with our resistance glass. Yeah, because you've got a couple things. You've got color, you got protection, which, for safety, and you've got heat that you're trying to block. So you can't always get a home run, but you want to make sure you're protected. We're also trying to encourage people to, wear hats and long sleeve, in the grow. It's all too easy to dip in there to go check on the girls and treat it really casually. But you want to leave some of your equipment, by the door of your grow and buckle up, so to speak.
Make it easy to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question to ask you, but we're going to switch. So Ratchet Man in the channel, I want to know how we can get your products the easiest way. But Ratchet Man actually wants to know how he could become a distributor, I guess. So can you tell us about distribution of 7 glasses?
Well, yeah, we were in the beginning just self-distributed. We had about, we worked up to about 500 hydro shops around the country, and then we were selling in about 7 other countries through distributors. And then about a year or so ago, we went with Sunlight Supply, and they have access to tons of hydro shops. And we have our website, which is probably the best place to get our product, because you can go on there, pick the spectrums, you can email us questions. Again, try some frames, you can swap them out. But right now, we're probably in 500 or 600 hydro shops in the U.S., and we have distributors in Germany and Australia that hit Scandinavian countries, Ireland, Spain. Got a little distributor in Russia that it's kind of hard to keep track of where the product is there. But it's been really fun. I mean, that's one of the funnest things about this company, I think, is going around the world to the different markets, and every country, different things. I mean, you go to the Czech Republic, and those people are super passionate about the politics and just great people. And then, you go to other countries where it's still, like in Germany, where it's still real hush-hush. And it's just really fun. It's a good community.
On a different level, I know exactly what you're talking about because, you know, I've been a breeder for 35 plus years, distributing seeds throughout the planet, and that same passion that you're talking about, it doesn't matter what it is, but when you see it coming from a different culture, it always strikes me as different. I'll never forget these two guys I met from Russia who were growing weed, and this was before the wall fell. I mean, these guys were fucking hardcore. I met them in Amsterdam. They were actually there getting some genetics in Amsterdam, but they were already growing my Jack the Ripper. And when I was talking to them, you know, I was a little naive about the whole situation. And I was like, well, it's for you guys to grow weed in Russia, right? And he goes, they will kill us, just straight up. He goes, they will kill us. So it's just unique to find the interaction. I mean, we have people that grow our seeds in Africa and in Brazil and in Russia. And it's just unique to see the culture that surrounds the type of industry that we work in, and whether it be gardening, which is that, or the genetic side of cannabis. It's neat to see how each culture sees your product is kind of what I'm getting at, because they certainly treat it differently in some of the other countries than they do in the U.S., where everything is kind of glorified and everything. I would imagine some of these smaller countries, they treasure that one pair of damn Method 7s they get because it helps them do their job, right?
Yeah, it's totally true. And we go to like the Czech Republic. We don't sell a lot of glasses there, but we just love the people. And once you know, get into that culture and you find out who's growing and what's going on, you just want to keep going back and be a part of it. And sometimes it's just about being a good supportive brand in these places where you may not make a lot of money, but you just, you know, there's a good industry that you want to stay a part of. And, you know, what's interesting, when we started this company, these glasses, like, people didn't believe it. You know, we put the photos in High Times and magazines of the color change, and they all thought it was photoshopped and fake. So our first ad was like, see, believe, and trying to get people to take a leap of faith with us until they could try it. And so we ran an ad, and it basically said, okay, order a pair of glasses. You don't have to give us your credit card. We'll ship them to you. And all we say is, if they work, pay us. And we ran a coupon code that said honor amongst thieves. And we did this thing, and I think it was about 100 pair went out, and about 97% of the people paid us for it, which is pretty awesome. And these people could have just stolen the damn things, but they were like, you know what, it works, I believe it. And I think that's just kind of a nice thing to talk about our industry in general, that, you know, it's been so underground and we've had to take care of each other. And as it comes to be more of an okay mainstream legalized market, you know, that the market forces are changing, but a lot of those people still have that good, honorable core. So I think that's kind of one of the neat things that Method 7 has experienced as a business, that all over the world, the people we partner with have been really solid. People like yourselves too, just liking the product, supporting it. It's a lot of fun. And we're super proud of what we've done. We're super proud of being able to help people be more comfortable. And we want more people to wear them outside, because it's a beautiful lens, yeah. And most of the stuff, you know, there's some nice products out there, sunglass wise, but most of them are not doing anything that fancy. And we're obviously pretty proud of ours.
Awesome. Well, you guys have been super, super generous with TJ Genetics, all my breeders, growers, and my moderators. Now I sure appreciate it. I so appreciate you talking about, you know, being able to look past the dollar every once in a while. You know, that's one of the reasons we actually do this show. Of course, we're here for you to provide a platform for you guys to talk about your great products, pass on information. But from the Weed Nerd standpoint of view, we're here to help people share information and raise money. So tonight we're raising money for Josh LaCroix Sr. If you guys want to make a donation, please do. At the end of the show, we will be donating a couple of things. And one of the things we will be donating is operator LED Method 7s. So I want to kick it over real quick and make sure my panel, because I talk over him all the time, I want to kick it over to Minnesota Nice real quick and make sure he doesn't have any questions for James or Laura while he's on the show. But I see
he ran to the bathroom real quick. Yeah, I got something though for you, Sub. So it looks It looks like Method 7 says summer's around the corner, and we'd like to give a viewer a pair of our Coupe Sun to optimize vision for summer adventures to come. So to enter, tag us in a picture of your favorite local nature on Instagram with tags hashtag CBelieve Method 7 and WeedNerd420. And I think what we'll do is get together on that, and I'll get you guys a little bit more details. But that sounds like a really good contest to me, and we're down to throw it out if that's what you guys want to do, for sure.
Awesome. We really do appreciate it. Anything people donate, we really do appreciate it, because a lot of the funds that we've raised on the show have come from people just donating stuff to us. So I wanted to open it up real quick to Dan with Timber Grow Lights real quick. I know he's been talking a little bit when the show wasn't on. I know he's in the light industry. So do you have any questions for James or anything to contribute to what they're talking about before we kick it over to the next portion of the show?
I don't have any questions in particular, but I did want to say that a lot of customers do ask about glasses. They ask about Method 7 in specific. And I think that as you get customers that might use timber or a similar type of product, when they're using UV, when they're using some of the IR spectra, I think it's really important. I think it's something that should definitely, I'm sure, is on your radar. And we would love to be able to support that if we can with testing and whatnot.
Absolutely. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
No.
We're hoping our new are going to work well with your lights, and because you guys have, you've got really cool stuff going on, as that LED technology can really deliver. And a lot of us old school HPS guys, it was hard to convince us, and now I think a lot of us are convinced, that there's, with the product you guys are doing, you can do a lot with LEDs, and we have to keep up with you. So we might have more questions for you than the other way around.
Oh, absolutely. I think that as you go from just straight white spectrum and start mixing in reds, or some people like a really heavy, low color temperature, being able to kind of encapsulate that whole pardon the pun, spectra of needs is going to become more pronounced as the technology changes too, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Awesome. So I want to thank you guys for coming on. Incredible information. I hope not only will you continue to watch the show, because we have a lot of good information each week. It's kind of neat how the show has grown so fast. I mean, hell, we had Remo on last week. I mean, this is like our 5th show or something like that. So it is kind of fun that these cats can reach out using the TGA Miss Jill Subcool handle or whatever, and get some really good people on the show like yourself. Thank you very much for your awesome preparation of everything. And I understand that you've also donated a couple of pair for our contest giveaway. So we really do appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sub, I was just going to ask you a question. Are we going to do the, or we're going to go to the timber section now, right?
No, and we're going to take a little break. We're going to fart around for a little bit, and then we're going to go to the timber section.
Sweet. All right, cool.
Awesome. So I want to go over a couple of things this week. Recap for the Weed Nerd. So the charity garden going really good. Sid moved a planet full of wood chips down into the garden, spread them out. It's nice and comfy down there. You're surprised how many chips you get if you cut down a couple of oak trees.
I bet it smells great too.
Smells great, and even though it's wood chips, when you sit down in it, it's not dirty. It's like organic. You're sitting in this nice smelly wood thing.
It just feels right. Yeah, it just feels right.
I have a thing though. I've learned already that straw can stick to you, so you got to be careful. I'm already moving straw into the house. It was about 400 feet from the garden, so
yeah, straw's the worst. And something that the hydro growers out there can relate it to would be Hydroton. If you have ever used Hydroton, you find that shit everywhere.
Well, I absolutely do. A little bit of house. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh God, man. When I was, I'm surprised I didn't get busted like 15 years ago when I was growing in tables, because I had fucking Hydroton all over my damn yard. It was everywhere. What are these little orange balls everywhere for? Well, okay.
That shit's under my
Thanks a lot.
trees outside. It's under my
What-
trees. It's on my garden bed. I got it
It's-
fucking everywhere.
Yeah,
It's
it's
got-
all tilled into our garden outside.
Fuck yeah, it breaks
When
the
me
soil
and
up.
Phil moved to Oregon, I didn't have any way to get rid of my super soil, or I hadn't devised a plan yet, and I was still getting rid of it. So I would rake it into my yard. Well, the first time it rained really hard, all the perlite floated up, and no shit, like at least 4 people a year later, when I knew them, I met them. They're like, "Yeah, we drove by your yard one day and saw that perlite." We were like, "Yeah, that guy's growing weed." So I guess I just targeted the shit out of myself. So anyway, we got the charity guard going. We were working with the water. Learned already working with DripWorks. So the 150 gallons will get 17 gallons of drip water in 1 hour, and the 400 gets 37 gallons of water. So using those calculations, you can kind of adjust your time, which we're doing now. So that's really interesting. Let's see, Taco Tuesday hiatus. Patrick is dealing with some family stuff, but he's going to be back. I think it's June 3rd. I think is when they're going to kick back. So there'll be a big party up there. We're going to have a lot of fun. And as I mentioned this before, we raised $765 already for Joshua St. Croix, and which we are still working on that. So, Miss So Nice, I kicked it while you were on break a while ago. I apologize. I didn't know if you had any questions for James and Laura.
Yeah, I do actually. I was going to ask them if anyone within the company has some sort of a glass blowing background, because the infusions that you were talking about with your lenses and the different compounds and everything, that seems like something that a, like a lamp worker or somebody who makes pipes and bongs would do. Is there any tie-ins there?
Yeah, well, actually, that's part of the origin of the original formulation. We got our clue from the glass blowing. And you can buy some glass blowing glasses that have, they have more praseodymium in them, which is a little purpler color. And people were wearing some of those in the grow back in the day, but they don't color correct properly. So that's where the actual original idea came from for Method 7. But we had to tune it and put a bunch more chemistry. But you can actually wear our glasses, glass blowing with kind of white glass, and it does a pretty good job color correcting. Once you start using other colored glass, it's lost. But you're right, that's the same technology.
Awesome. Thank you. And then I have one other question. So this, I don't know if this got answered while I was away for a second, but I wear prescription glasses, and I have my pair of Method 7 clip-ons here that I use all the time in my garden. We grow under the blurple colored LEDs around here. So they're very harsh on your eyeballs, and we're thankful for these. Now, one thing I've always been looking forward to is prescription glasses that have this technology. Is anything like that in the works?
Yeah, we had it for a couple of years, and we just weren't excited with the range of prescriptions we could fill. So we have a new lab we've been working with, and I guess we're going live. I'd say probably midsummer we're going to be able to take the prescriptions, maybe closer to August, we'll be able to do that again. Because what the problem is, we're working with glass mostly in our company, and that's kind of an old art. And to make, most prescription glasses you get, they're going to be a polycarbonate and a synthetic. And in order to make a good RX with glass, you're basically making a second lens, and then you're laminating it. So you do your prescription formula, and then you laminate it to your glass. And that's not easy to do. It ends up being heavy and cumbersome. So we've worked with some companies on a really high-end synthetic formulation. So to answer your question, probably by August we can start taking RX again. And the cool thing is that we don't mark it up. We get our lab costs as low as we can, and often we can get you guys a prescription for lower than you're going to pay, at your regular RX guy, because prescription can be expensive. It gets really marked up in the marketplace. So by working directly with us, we work directly with the lab, we can get them pretty affordably. So meanwhile, the clip-on's great. The clip-on is the same technology, a lens made by Carl Zeiss for us. And, that's kind of the short-term solution.
Perfect. Thank you. And, I'm going to throw this in there. Just make sure you let me know if you guys need a guinea pig on those new prescriptions, because, you know, I'd definitely love to test a pair out. So, so I'm going to turn this back over to Sub though.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Very, very, very good information. So yeah, and I just want to, go over a couple of things that these guys talked about, just from my observation. So they're saying is don't grow blind, but I would say always wear glasses. They touched on it a little bit. The lights we use are incredibly bright, and you're not supposed to be staring at the fucking things, but most of us have spent 20, 30 years plus looking upwards at the bulbs. So make sure you get a pair of these glasses and use them. It's not just a sales pitch. These things will take care of your optics. They'll also stop you from getting crow's feet in the damn grow room. I mean, if you squint at a bulb for 20 years, it's going to have an effect on you. So for no joke, it's a real deal. And the last thing I wanted to say to you, James and Laura, I had the opportunity. I've always worn Method 7 because you guys have always made sure they were in my hand. They're a great product. I put them on. They feel good. They work good. Never had a reason to know there was even another product. But recently I bought a light fixture. And with the light fixture came a no-name brand of spectrum adjusting lights. And I'm not going to pull any punches on my show. They were pieces of shit. I mean, straight up, they were pieces of shit. They were packaged wrong. They were produced wrong. They were goofy as shit looking. And I didn't really see the point. And I thought you guys might think that's funny as shit. Somebody sent me a free pair, and I don't even know where they are because they suck. So thank you guys so much.
We've definitely seen that. A lot of folks have copied us, and some don't do a bad job, actually. I mean, to be honest, most of them, however, they just took our glasses and sent them someplace, usually in China or Taiwan, and said, copy them. And the people who copied them didn't necessarily know what the use was. So what you end up with is a lot of just blue plastic. And, you put it on and it might look like it's working because the color's not bad, but does it have full protection? I don't know, maybe. A lot of the lenses are cheap plastic, so there's a lot of haze in them.
And distortion.
So these are subtle. So there are people out there now that say, yeah, I picked up a pair for $10 and they seem fine. And honestly, they might be okay. But, we spent close to 10 years now working on this. We're growers, we're scientists, we're working with the best science labs in the world. We go to Germany, Italy, and now Japan, and we know these things are good. We know they're optically the best you can get, the clearest. And why risk it? I mean, why save, $20-30? Your eyes, you get one set. Your eyes and your teeth are the only thing that don't self-repair. It's a downhill slide your whole life. When you get to be older like me, your eyes start to, I got all kinds of eye issues. It's probably from being around the bulbs all my life. And it's really nice to know that at least I'm not doing any more damage. So whether you're skiing, sailing, hanging out at the beach, flying an airplane, or hanging out in your grow, just do the right thing and wear good glasses and try not to be too cheap. We've tested everything out there. We tested all the stuff on the market. The good news for most people is that cheap plastic can do a pretty good job of blocking dangerous UV. So some of that cheap shit will keep you from getting hurt, but it's hazy and the color stinks.
You can get a headache.
And you probably get a headache.
Get tired, and you just can't spend as much time in your room with the plants. You just doesn't.
Yeah, we just say why risk it, and it's like anything. You can drive a cheap car if you want, and it'll get you from point A to point B. But if you can drive a really nice car, it's just a whole nother experience. Why not? Why not drive a nice car if you can? Protect your eyes.
I agree. So make sure everybody check out Method 7 glasses. Get the appropriate spectrum for what you're doing. And we can't thank you guys enough. Please hang around because I'm sure some more questions will pop up. Speaking of questions, Malik, if you could put the question link at the toward the end of the show, we'll be taking questions for the entire panel, as well as Miss Jill and anybody else. So there's the link for that. I want to talk about the TGA Genetics Galactic Garden giveaway. So it's a Gleam. So Malik's going to throw that link up there for you right now. Malik, why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep, it's a pack of Dairy Queen and a pack of AK-47 times Locomotion made by Galactic Gardens.
So there you go. You guys have been wanting to get in on the new Galactic Gardens creations that have been kind of behind the scenes. You know, we don't really talk about stuff too much in here. We tease you guys a little bit, but there you go. So there's that contest right there. I've got some shout outs to do this week, and they're pretty important to do. So as always, big shout out to Heroes of the Farm for providing all those freebie seeds we gave away. We're almost at 12,000 seeds now that we've given away to the public. I literally walk around in public with a pack of seeds in my pocket and hand them to anybody that looks like they may grow or even know a fucking grower. Talk about overgrow the planet. We're making it happen. Shout out to my lovely wife, Miss Jill, who has completely retrofitted the garden upstairs. The gnats are on the run, I can assure you. I saw them packing their bags right away. Everything's alphabetized. The damn gnat traps line. We moved the entertainment system this morning. Yeah, I asked her what she wanted for Mother's Day because she told me Mother's Day wasn't a really big deal this year. She just wanted to, you know, enjoy the day. And she said, would you do some stuff in the grow room for me? So we went and bought some new shelves. We moved that TV and entertainment system because we don't use that anymore. It's become more of a work area. So we've got all our water bins or ladders hung on the wall. Everything's just ready to go. Got the rug out of there she asked me to do. So it's all ready to go and rocking and rolling on some new freebies. Me and Miss Jill are going to make a bunch of new stuff as well, so that we can continue to populate the planet with cannabis. Shout out to Mendo Dope for everything. I know James and Laura hung out with me yesterday. How was the concert?
Oh,
loud?
It was awesome. It was a place called The Catalyst downtown Santa Cruz, and you know, I'd never seen them live before, and I was impressed.
It was, yeah, just all of them together put on such a good show, and we went with one other of our colleagues, and we were all just having a ball dancing, and
yeah, I mean, what's so cool is,
after 1 a.m.
I mean, you're listening to all this hip hop and a lot of mixed stuff. It's pretty cool. Then they come out and they're playing real instruments, and they're just big stage presence, and the lyrics are so good. I mean, you all know their stuff, but you really listen to what they're saying, and it's like Rage Against the Machine, but for weed. You know, it's awesome.
Oh yeah. Let me tell you, the first time I saw Old E sing some of their songs with the mic stand, and the first time I actually got to hear him do live, I was like 3 foot away from him, and he does the WEEDNERD, and I yelled, "Weed nerd." He is so powerful in person. If you haven't seen Mendo Dope in person, I mean, this is true of any band, but you know, if you listen to their music on the CD, it's great, it's cool. If you watch them on the DVD, that's cool, that's great. But to see Old E belt out those lyrics, them white as he can be, just rapping his ass off. I mean, he flows like shit on the fly, and it's a really cool thing to see him. And of course, if you've seen somebody do a dab off the ganja mic stand, that's just pretty damn cool.
Oh yeah, I love the mic stands.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
They're just you can tell that they're pros. You know, they get up there and they've got great stage presence, and they just belt it out.
They really put on a show.
Yeah,
a real show.
Yeah, they actually have a couple of chorus lines with Method 7 in it, which I must admit I thought that was pretty sweet. It's like, you know, Method 7 vision. And we actually did a photo shoot with them today, which was super cool. We have a photographer friend, Gary Irving. So we did this really classic photo shoot with the whole band.
On the couch.
And we're going to run that in some of the like High Times and a few magazines, just about Method 7 visionaries. So these are people who doing great stuff, and they've got the right message. They're growing organic. They're cool cats. And so we're trying to celebrate that more serious side of what they're doing, you know, because they've got a very strong message. And what I want them to do is I want them to go to Farm Aid, which is that, you know, Willie Nelson, Neil Young, big fundraiser for farmers. And I think that is an old school crowd, and Mendo Dope needs to go speak their kind of youthful message about legalization, about good organic weed. That message needs to go to that market, and maybe the climate's right, you know, with Willie Nelson at the helm of Farm Aid. So that's a stretch, but that's something that we're hoping we could help make happen. You know, get people to hear Mendo Dope, hear that message, and bring it to a more mainstream audience as part of this conversation about elevating the weed conversation into into the world. So anyway, big shout out to Mendo. Those guys, they're awesome.
I like that idea, and I've actually got high with Willie, so maybe we can help him. And I got to mention to you guys, I've been beating High Times on the head for a long time trying to get Mendo on the main stages, and the weed nerds have already heard this. Hopefully, I don't offend you guys on this, but at the last High Times Cup, instead of having Mendo Dope on the stage singing about organic cannabis, they had a bunch of violent thug-ass fucking rap, and it was disgusting to me to listen to that shit for 9 hours straight. We were tired of it. I mean, one night coming back, I actually used some racial epithets because I was so pissed off at listening to it. But point being, these guys should be on every cannabis stage and every farm stage because their message is incredible.
I agree.
Shout out to Moxie 710. Sorry, we dropped the 2,700 grams on Moxie 710. So we have Tinto de Verano being made into a solvent extract so that we will enter into the NorCal Cup. If you're asking me why I went with solvent, even though I don't smoke solvents, the reason I did is basically what I did was I gave it to Billy at Moxie 17. The guy's won like 15 cups. So I gave him my very best resins, and he's going to tell me whether he thinks they should be entered or not. So we're pretty excited about that. Also pretty excited about, if you guys down in LA, a shout out for BZ Barbie, our good friends. I noticed they're not in right now, and it's probably because they're working, because I dropped about 8,000 fucking grams of frozen bud on them from the freezer and transported with under dry ice. So it's being processed into all kind of extracts, and it looks like a freaking candy store. It was Galactic Jack and Pinot and Space Bomb and Jack the Ripper and Apollo 13 and on and on and on. Coolers full of trim. So that's going to be pretty cool to see there. Shout out to Alpine Alternative. If you guys have not seen the giant sign on Wade Avenue, TGA logo, 150 foot in the air. You never get tired of seeing that in America. Never thought we'd see our logo on a standing billboard. Shout out to Galactic Gardens and all the Michigan weed nerds. Galactic Gardens working behind the scenes. Incredible strains for us. Malik's out there on that side. And last but not least, shout out to all the mothers on Mother's Day. So what I want to do real quick is, if Minnesota Nice will cue up some music real quick, we're going to take like a 5-minute break before we get to our next guest. So everybody can roll up some joints, that kind of stuff. We will be back in about 10 minutes. I hope everybody will hang out. Cue it up, big man. Awesome, guys.
Yeah, I'm from the mountains. How we
Coming
doing?
back
How
with
we
that
living
timber
out
grow
here? Let me put it in your ear. Homegrown weed in a jar, smoke goose meat. Grew up playing on a field where they use cleats. This Mendo dope, and we rolling too deep. Use my tongue to pick pieces of shrooms from my teeth. Home of the red tail, drink it from the tap. Pack of aromatics and a $40 sack. Barbecue and steak, deer jerky for a snack. Hunting on the mountainside, searching for a catch. Weed gets maxed. Got the rolling skills, survival techniques. Learn from Bear Grylls, start a fire with my knife. Cook on the open flame, cause Cuddy where I'm at, there's nowhere quite the same. Gotta be smart, not only on the street, cause half the roads out here ain't even concrete. See, we in the mounds, every game we starters. I'm from Mendel County, home of ganja farmers. Surf flows out on the ranch, I'm from the mountains. Got car dogs watching my plants, I'm from the mountains. Moonshine up in the glass, I'm from the mountains. Now girls shake it like a rattlesnake tail. Surf flows out on the ranch, I'm from the mountains. Car dogs watching my plants, I'm from the mountains. Moonshine up in the glass, I'm from the mountains. Now girls shake it like a rattlesnake tail.
The guy said that they went through one block, and so imagine what is there, like 30, 40 houses on a block. In that single block, 15 of the houses had marijuana grown in the backyard. Yes.
So it's pretty commonplace. This is the way I like it.
Kicking back, eating on some elk sausage. Wake up to breakfast, scrambled egg ostrich. Antelope meat, rattlesnake and wild hog. Got 'em with the compound bow in the morning fog. Year-round, fresh creek water flows. When you're living in the mountains, how the life goes. Sitting in the fern grove, walking down the grapevine. Cannabis, culture, growing on the main line. Mud bogging, kicking up dust. Low riders won't make it, just lifted up trucks. Holes in my shirt and my shorts are dirty, not even tripping. It's Mendo, the hills, you heard me? They pop pills for Furley, smoke weed for Marley. One love from the mountains, supplying the party. We living different in the sticks, in the boondocks, coming with the California twist. Old heroes out on the ranch. I'm from the mountain. Got guard dogs watching my plans. I'm from the mountain. Got moonshine up in the glass. I'm from the mountain. Now girls shake it like a rattlesnake tail. Dirt roads out on the ranch. I'm from the mountain. Got guard dogs watching my plans. I'm from the mountain. Got moonshine up in the glass. I'm from the mountain. Now girls shake it like a rattlesnake tail. I'm from the mountains, I'm living in Ukiah. Were you a rally racer or a four-wheel driver? Were you a customer or either you a supplier? Where you will tell the truth or you learn to be a liar? Play with fire like a pyromaniac. Chilling in the shade on a hammock just laying back. Catfishing in the lake, disc golfing on the course. In the Redwood Valley, burning weed on the porch. Drinking like a July 4th. Campground sipping moonshine, gaming on a hoop court. Bonfires, tailgating, we chill. Crack a brew with your homies from the top of the hill. Mendocino, NorCal, covered in green. Where we take the girls skinny dipping at the hot springs. Potter Valley down the river on the tube we float. Catch them in Hopland, Willits, Fort Bragg on the coast. I'm from the mountains, out on the ranch. I'm from the mountains. Got guard dogs watching my plans. I'm from the mountains. Got moonshine up in the glass. I'm from the mountains. Now girls shake it like a rattlesnake tail. Dirt roads out on the ranch. I'm from the mountains. Got guard dogs watching my plans. I'm from the mountains. Got moonshine up in the glass. I'm from the mountains. Now girls shake it like a rattlesnake tail.
Mendocino County is like no other place. We are unique. To drive through town, roll your window down, you can smell pot everywhere in Ukiah as you drive through town. That would just be shocking in any other culture.
Yeah, I'm from the mountains. How we do it and how we living out here? Let me put it in your ear. Homegrown weed,
thank you guys.
Grew up playing on a field where they
Hell yeah, I absolutely love that song.
I do too, man. I can just picture them in that truck driving up the hill. Shout out in our break, Jilly just brought me some bomb-ass grilled barbecue chicken, Parmesan potatoes, awesome corn. I dropped it down, so yummy.
Man. Yeah, you're making me hungry over here.
I will. And you guys know that part of the show, a lot of the time, we talk about me and my stupid appetite, and I can tell you the only thing that was wrong with my appetite was Jill wasn't. I needed Jill to put food in front of me because I love her food. My appetite's already improved a lot more. So awesome. So I want to kick it over to Dan tonight. Dan is with Timber Grow Lights, and we're going to learn a little bit more about LED tonight. Now, just a little bit of background with me, being careful how I say this. I use an LED light. I've had it for about 6 or 7 years. I have grown a lot of flowers with it. It does not grow the kind of flowers that I like. So it's always been relegated to the corner or a side project or playing with a seed or strain or something. And just recently, I ran across the Grow Tube Roundtable where I ran across some really smart people, Dago, Mouse, and they started telling me about LEDs. And I learned really quickly that all LEDs are not created equal, and that LED technology has just leaped forward since I plugged my first one in. So if you would, if you tell us a little bit about your company, about the story of Timber Grow Lights.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks a lot for having us on the show. Appreciate you and your producers reaching out to us and having us on. So Timber Grow Lights actually has a story that's a little different than most lighting companies in the horticulture industry. We're a family-owned and operated company. We've been around for over 10 years, and we actually started in the stage and studio lighting and DLP televisions. We were actually one of the innovators in replacement lamps for DLP televisions, which came out around 2006. So we brought a product to market that gave the customer options that they didn't have. They, much like when you replaced a cartridge in your printer, you would have to go buy the cartridge, oftentimes would be more than the printer. We came up with an innovative way to do that by just replacing the actual light bulb inside of this cartridge. So that's how we got our start. We have since really expanded into other markets, and in about 2014, we were working with Osram, who are one of the best LED companies when it comes to plant lighting. They also have a good line of HPS lighting, Plant Star. And so we started talking to them about LEDs and their uses with plants. And we worked on a product that came to market called the Zellion, which, to be honest with you, I'm not very impressed with how it was developed with respect to usage with cannabis. However, it did prove to be very apt at doing what it does with cannabis as well. So that is how we got into horticulture lighting. Since then, we developed the timber line, which came about as sort of a disruptive source, if you will, a way to bridge the customer needs when it comes to wanting top-of-the-line LED. Like you had mentioned, what we hear a lot from customers is, so I've got this LED panel, I'm an HPS grower, and it does okay, and it's got these pros and it's got these cons, but nobody really is excited about their LED light. So we wanted to take the technology, put it in the hands of the grower in such a manner that the grower could use the lighting. It wasn't just in a case. It was these parts that you could put over your lights. You could mix the color temperatures. You could do what you wanted to do. We've since then developed our line called Framework, which basically takes that concept to the next level, and it gives a grower a ready-to-hang solution. Not everybody is a DIY or an assemble-it-yourself type. So we really tried to take a good look at what are the grower's needs, what's lacking in the market, what parts, what developments can we put into our product that helps to solve some of the, not necessarily issues, but makes the usage of the light in the growing area better or more useful.
I got you. Well, one of the things, and I've got a long list of questions, but I'm going to divert for a second because I've got my own questions.
For sure.
So the first thing that they already hit me up in chat about it, and so let's just address the horse in the room. Cost. Everybody always focuses on cost on LEDs. Now, I can give you a little bit of my to it. While I don't run LEDs, but I hope to be soon running some of yours. We'll be talking about that. You know, cost is always an issue with LED fixtures, but from what I understand, the longevity of the fixture and the equipment kind of counteracts that, because if I understand it correctly, the technology lasts 10 years or more. Am I wrong?
No, you're correct. So Cobb technology is, it's the replacement for the metal halide. It's what you will find in high bay lighting, in street lighting, in highway lighting. So it's designed to do the replacement. It has a much longer lifespan. The way it degrades in lumen loss over time is much, much more gradual, and it's a different style of lighting. It's solid state versus more of an expendable lamp style lighting. So if there was one thing I could say that is bad about LEDs, it's their cost. If you are looking to outfit a space and you were looking to do it with HPS, or you're looking to do it with either an LED panel or a Cobb LED solution, you're gonna be spending more money for the LED-based solution. In most cases, if you're getting a good quality light, the technology is more costly. The componentry is a little different, and the way that you design your lighting can be more expensive or less expensive, but generally speaking, you're going to spend more. Your initial capital outlay, if you will, is going to be more with LED. over time, when you don't have to replace bulbs as often, when you don't have to replace reflectors, when you don't have HVAC costs that are as high to deal with, when your electrical consumption is lower, all that kind of comes into play over time. But to answer your question in a very, very long-winded manner, and my apologies, is a good LED light, a good cob light, should last you 9.5 to 10 years, and we can go into the technical aspect of how they derive that, and still be putting out at least 70% or more of the original light output, which is a very, very high amount of lumens or power wattage if you're thinking about plants. So yes, it will be more expensive to outfit a room with LED, but the benefits will come into play over time.
Okay, so I want to give some real life stuff for me. So I've been thinking about this before you came on. So here's my situation exactly. I run 2 1,000 metal halides. I use the Hortilux eye. I've always been a big fan of it, even though it flakes inside the damn bulbs. And in our bud room, we run 1,000 watt high pressure sodium single ended bulbs. Obviously, I've talked to a lot of lighting people, talked about switching a couple. We actually put a ceramic metal halide in the bud room, but it was the wrong spectrum, and I didn't get good results on it. So I want to add some LEDs to my room. Now, you were just talking about cobs and metal halides. I get it, and maybe I can talk a little bit later about replacing those 1,000s, but that's not where my focus is. My focus is in my flower room, and I run just under 30 watts per square foot, which I understand nowadays is pretty low on the spectrum, because people now are kicking out grams per square foot versus in the outlaw days that I've come from, it was always grams per watt.
Right.
And nowadays, we're not worried about watts and power we want to produce. So the guys that got me all revved up, I've had this idea of supplementing my room, 1,000, 12 by 12. It's got a big cross in the center where there are no lights. Now I get plenty of spillover, and I grow beautiful flowers there, but not as pretty as the flowers underneath the bulbs themselves. So I've always had the idea to do some type of supplementation. So if you were going to supplement a 12 by 12 room with 4,000 watts, and you wanted to increase your watts per square foot, what would your recommendation be to me?
You're talking about supplementing your CMHs, for instance.
Yes, my high pressure sodiums.
Okay.
The standard old big ass hoods, high pressure sodiums.
Well, there are a couple of ways to go about doing it. The idea of hybrid solutions. A lot of people will take a CMH and it'll have a good coverage area, but it may be lacking as you get out to the corners. Placing a cob light in a corner, for instance, would be a good way to not only increase that spillover, but also increase the overall lighting area and footprint of coverage with respect to the appropriate amount of power that you want to have. The same principle could apply to HPS. So the things that come into play is your height above canopy and the spread of the light. If you take an HPS light, it's all coming out of here, and you have to have it up high enough in order to get that spread. But as it spreads out, you're going to lose light as you get away from the center, which is going to be your brightest spot. So the nice thing about cobs is you can use them to augment around the perimeters where you're always going to have less light than in the center with a conventional lamp-based system. That's just how it works. It has a light that comes out at 360 degrees. You have a reflector that sits over it, and it does its best to put that light in that area. So as it spreads out naturally, the cobs are interesting because they don't have to sit just like this. You can turn them. You could use them as vertical side lighting. You have a lot of options when it comes to determining, so you're running a 12 by 12. You've got basically 4 growing areas, if you will. We determine what is the size of that growing area. What are your PPFD requirements? If you're in flowering, are you using CO2? Using CO2 is going to give you more carbon that fixates, so you can utilize more energy. So all that comes into play when you determine, okay, I've got 1 kilowatt HPS over my 5x5, my 6x6, is really calculating down to the amount of power wattage what do you really need without going over, but giving you what you need also with respect to your coverage area. And that's where cobs really shine, is you're able to take them and move them apart. And if they're not in a case, you can kind of configure things. You can add it to existing lighting. You can do a side-by-side. You have a lot of different options. So those are the things that we would look at, as well as what do you want to do with your spectrum, or things of a more advanced, more playful, if you will, manner.
Gotcha. So I like the idea of hanging these single cobs in areas where I don't have a lot of light, and so they just 115 volts. I assume they have a hanging system. We see them on the website, but I'm just getting real practical here. So I would just hang from a hook in my ceiling and point over the area where I want to concentrate my light. Because what I'm thinking about actually doing here is, again, like you've already got my room is set up in quadrants. If I could hang single cobs in my big hoods, I would like to see what the addition of those would do. So the next thing is we're going to talk about heat. So it's a how large is it? It's a how many watts? What's your max watts? 400. So what kind of heat are you getting off a single 400 watt cob?
So we don't have a cob that puts out 400 watts. Our cobs put out anywhere from 50 to 100 watts each. If you had a 400 watt cob system, it could be running, depending on how many watts each cob is outputting, you could have 4 or 8 or 12 or even more. The majority of light manufacturers that use cobs, us included, work pretty much in the 50 to 100 watt per cob wheelhouse. So if you had 400 watts of cobs, you would have 4 cobs, and those 4 cobs could be moved as far apart as you want and positioned in the way you want. Now, with respect to heat, there are a couple of ways that you can cool these cobs. Now, for growing, the cobs are not, I use the term run. It's really more the amount of power you're putting into them and the amount of wattage they're producing. But not all that power gets converted to light. A lot of it gets converted to waste. In this case, it's heat. So that needs to be dealt with, just like with HPS. So there are 2 ways of doing it with cobs. You can either put them on a nice beefy heat sink and do it passively, where the cob, between the cob and the heat sink is where you have most of your heat interchange, and dissipating that heat away using pins, using splayed pins to exercise the air around those pins to remove the heat. You can also do it actively, where, for instance, you could use a CPU fan. A lot of cased units use this idea where you have a fan that sits on top of a heatsink, and it will direct the air down across and dissipate it that way. So there are a couple of ways to do it, but that's always going to be an enemy where, for instance, if you're talking about placing a cob so close to an HPS light, you're going to have heat that you don't necessarily want. LEDs do not like heat. The heat will make them less efficient, and it will also lower their longevity. So the key to a happy cob is an underdriven cob, or one that is well cooled, or run well below spec, so that way it really does live up to its L70 life. It really does give you 10 years. It really does stay cool. There are other simple things you can do. Our customers say, hey, you know, what can I do? I'm either in a really warm area or it's summertime and the temps are killing me. Simple solutions really are sometimes the most elegant and useful. A clip-on fan, a $6 clip-on fan, blowing air really lightly across those heat sinks are going to lower the heat sink temps by like 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is considerable. And it's just a very small amount of movement of air that works with the way the pin heat sinks are developed. So there's a lot of ways to mitigate it, but certainly the further you can keep it from heat, the better. And that's just LEDs in general.
So do your fixtures, are fan cooled to add an additional amount of cooling, or are there different levels of some cool, not some cool kind of?
No, that's a really good question. So when we started out, the first Timber lights were a case-based light. They came in a big box, and they were cobs, and they were actively cooled. We had intake fans, and we had an exhaust fan. So we would actively move the air into the case, across the heat sinks, and out. Since then, we've moved to a passively cooled system, and there are a few reasons why we did that. Passively cooled basically means you have no moving parts. You have no fans in a damp, wet environment. No matter what type of bearings you're going to have, your fans are going to wear out sooner. Any type of fan will have a longevity associated with it. Fans can die. So our cooling is based off of the passive cooling principle. So that way you don't have fans, you don't have the noise, you don't have the moving parts that will fail. What that means is you have more aluminum you're dealing with. But aluminum is not consuming energy. Aluminum is not requiring an additional power supply to run the fans. So that's the reason why we have moved to a passively cooled system. Additionally, it really brings down the cost, which the thing that we're always trying to fight with LEDs is they're expensive. So the timber idea takes the typical LED, be it a discrete LED, a cob-based LED, it takes it outside of the case. And what it does is it takes the guts and it gives the grower or the lighting designer the ability to place it where they want it, and more importantly, the ability to change that without the cooling problems, without the constraints of, hey, I have a case that's 20 by 20, so that's as far as I can spread my lights out, for instance. So a lot of those costs and problems we overcame by changing the design of the product, basically.
I mean, that is a really good explanation, because I don't know if you know, I come from the heating and air background. I understand heat dissipation. And then that one explanation, you explained everything. I couldn't understand why your lights look like they look. Now I get it. That entire aluminum framework is the heat sink, and aluminum dissipates heat incredibly fast. So when I have that big fixture hanging on top of my grow room, those cobs attached, those thermal sinks are all attached, just a little bit of air moving across it from my air conditioner, split system, whatever, is going to make a huge heat seats as it passes across that aluminum, because aluminum cools and heats up really, really fast. So I get it now. So also I can kind of move those cobs around in the frames, move them in for narrow, move them out. Am I thinking right there as well?
Yes, you absolutely are. So we offer two products. We offer kits, which is basically a deconstructed framed light, if you will, or ready to hang. And it's basically everything minus the frame. Now, our frames are an aluminum angle, as you pointed out, and they are such for a couple of reasons. A, it brings the cost down. Aluminum angle is less expensive than a lot of other items to work with and to source and to machine. And part of our product is it's customizable. It's, you tell us what you need, and the metal's cut to suit. We have products on our website that are given sizes and shapes for reasons that they cover the most common areas. But if you came to us and said, hey, I've got a strange need, or I want to do X, Y, and Z, we utilized aluminum angle. Now, I can't spoil anything. We are switching our frames to a product that is going to give the grower and the user more maneuverability of those cobs, the ability to shift them in and out, move them around. So we, again, listening to our customers, listening to growers, interacting with growers after support, saying, hey, you got it, it's been up, you did a run. What's your feedback? How can you help us to make the product better for the community going forward?
Love it. So I'm going to, by the way, you're not going to get away from, I will be making a small drawing and getting it to you immediately, because I got it. You can make the cross. That's easy. Because all we need is a cross with a light on the end of each cross, and it covers my need. I love it. I'm getting excited.
Absolutely.
So tell us why Timber Grow Lights don't manufacture lights using diodes.
So it's kind of a, well, we sort of do. So I've got some toys over here off to the side, so I'm just going to run off camera for a second, grab them.
Yep.
I think that's so
No,
cool that you're going to get yourself a nice cross light in your room. So I'm a little jealous over here.
Cross light, man. So yeah, this is gonna work.
It's about to get holy up in your room.
No, that's funny. He's the pastor. He is the wizard.
So, and honestly, what you're describing, Subcool, is something that we do all the time. What we do is exactly what you're describing. Customers will call up and say, hey, I got a tent. I'm moving from HPS. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And we like to talk to customers. We like to find out, what are you trying to do? Where are you coming from? What are your needs now? What are your plans? Do you have plans to go from a full cycle to a perpetual? Do you have plans to enlarge your flowering area, shrink your flowering area? We can design the light with forethought to what you will need to add to it later on. So that way you're not reconfiguring things, you're not having to change parts. So a lot of what we do is what you're describing. It's these customizations that give the grower what they need that an out-of-the-box solution might or might not give you. So what's a discrete diode? What do we sell? What can you use? This is an example of a discrete diode, and I'll kind of hold it up here. They're very small. They're about the size of a matchstick. This particular guy is an OSRAM red, a 660 nanometer, and these are what you would find. Obviously, you're not going to find these in a Blurple style inexpensive panel. These are really expensive LEDs. But this gives you an idea of what is a small diode. A 1 watt diode, a 3 watt, a 5 watt diode is based on this general design. And so you have a lot of them on a surface that can pull the heat away. More often than not, it's inactively cooled as well. So do we work with these? Yes, but only in very specific instances, like, do I want to add a lot of 660 to my grow or enhance my red spectrum? This is one of the tools we can use when we're building a light. It works well with the style of the light and the components that we're using. Now, you take that idea and you move to a cob, which is, to really simplify it, a lot of LEDs in a very small area. So do we work with single LEDs? Yes, but more often than not, we're working with a cob-based solution. The reason is we're able to control the heat a lot more easily, less expensively. We're able to generate a lot more power, and we're able to do it with high-quality components. So you take a cob LED, and a cob LED comes in all different sizes and shapes, and we sell different brands, and we do that for a lot of different reasons. Some people are looking to move from HPS or are looking to start a grow or are brand new to the hobby, and maybe they do have a deep pocketbook. Maybe this is a hobby that they're really into and they want to dig deep. We've got that. We've got the lower end line, which I wouldn't even categorize as lower quality. It's just a lower price based on the best componentry that can be sourced at the different price points, in order to enable growers to switch, to try a side-by-side. Some people, most, have a very large investment in their grow. We understand the impetus to change may be tough. There's a lot at play. We can design it so that way over time you can change. You don't have to jump deep. You can control your costs. So a lot of that comes into play with the different types of LEDs we use. These guys being a lot more expensive to work with than these guys, for instance. These guys, very easy to mix color temperatures with. I can take something like this, which is a very, very red LED. Oh, pardon me. We actually tried to turn these on, but the camera totally washed them out on us. So unfortunately, I can't show you the actual light, but if you go to our Instagram page, you'll see that we've created what's called a rainbow. And the rainbow is basically the entire spectrum of color temperatures that we offer in our various lights as options. You go with one color temperature or another, or you mix them. So to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about, these are two different cobs. They're two different brands. The one I've got over here is a Bridgelux Vero. The one I have over here is the Cree CXB, the 3590 that has been around for years that everybody loves. Very similar shape, very similar form factor. This guy is 1750 kelvins. This guy is 6500 kelvins. And you can see that just by looking at them, the phosphorus layer is very, very different. And that's done in order to give the different characteristics of spectrum that you would have with something that's a 6500 Kelvin versus something that you're definitely going to use more for flowering and not so much for vegging, your 17, your very, very warm reds. So those are the types of things we work with. You have things like this, which I'm sure we're all very familiar with. Let me get it right side up. Horticultural Lighting Group has their quantum boards, trying to bring as much to the customer, as much variety as possible, as many different color temperatures and brands. And the reason for that isn't to complicate things. It's to give more options. So that way, if somebody is price sensitive or if somebody is tech sensitive, we can address all those different things. So that's why we try to bring as much into our wheelhouse as makes sense, but we're able to control the costs and not overcommit, if you will.
I love it. And I'm learning, I got to tell you, I'm learning a lot because my current LED light looks like it has light bright bulbs in it. So, yeah. we looking forward a little bit here today. I have to ask you what drivers you use, but I also, and I know you will, tell me a little bit about what drivers do in the process of lights. Huh?
Sure. So I just happen to have one over here.
He's got one of those too. I love this guy. He's on it.
I do have to give a very quick shout out to Danielle. Danielle and I started DLP Lamp Source about 10 years ago and subsequently have developed the Timber Grow Light brand. We're husband and wife. She is the reason why the company functions and is still around. And she helped me with getting everything set up and really instrumental with everything. So thank you, Danielle. I just wanted to say I love you.
Shout out, Danielle.
So, meanwhile, power supplies. What does a power supply do? Think of a power supply sort of as a ballast with a HPS, with a metal halide. It's going to be the thing that takes the juice from your wall and converts it into juice into your lights, for really simplistic terms. The power supplies that we work with look like this. They're the Meanwell HLG series. And there are a few reasons in particular why we work with this particular one. There are a few things that we do to it that don't come out of the box, and I'll tell you a little bit about why. So the reason why we work with this actual one is it's an extruded aluminum case. It acts as its own heat sink. It will get warm to the touch, but the design is an IP67 design. It is rated for waterproof. It's rated for wet environments. It's a very highly efficient power supply. Meanwhile, makes a lot of different lines of power supplies, this one being the most efficient. We use a constant current power supply, and the reason that we do that is it allows us to run our LEDs in series, and that when you are giving people parts to put together, they will not be able to blow them up. They will not be able to hurt themselves with a constant current. It's managed. You're not able to overpower your light. Things that we do to our Meanwell power supplies in all of our products, we work with military grade and automotive grade blue line heat sinks, waterproof interconnects, because it's all about safety. We're in a wet environment. We're in all various measures of very highly electrician professional to maybe not so much. So we definitely want to err on the side of caution. So everything is watertight, everything is glue lined. And on the power side, we use a fused power inlet, and that's really important. So the way people wire things, they may have a lot of lines on one breaker. This has a 250 volt, 10 amp fuse. And if you pop open this little guy inside, you'll see that there's a fuse and there's a spare. That's really important for a few reasons. Obviously, if your light goes out, pop that open first thing to check. Is my fuse gone? Change it. Am I up? Good. Am I not? Call Dan, Dan, what the hell? So the reason why we do that is it's a safety factor. It also helps to protect your investment. It helps to protect your light. We developed them this way, so that way, if your power supply goes out and you've got a light, you can disconnect these things very easily. You can remove it. We can, so this happens, unfortunately. It does not happen often. I counted, actually checked the data before the show. We've sold thousands of these. We've had 8 failures, which is pretty darn good, right? But we know, and again, part of what we do and part of the reason why we've developed our lights this way is we've worked with growers, we've studied it. We understand from our background with projection lighting and lighting that needs a high uptime is that if this thing goes out, your light isn't working. If your light isn't working, your plants aren't going to, it doesn't work. The sun doesn't go out. Mother Nature doesn't really care that your light isn't working. So we overnight these guys out when they fail. You have your parts the next business day as quickly as we can get them to you. We get it. We understand. And we certainly don't want to be the reason why you have a mishap in your garden. So that's one of the reasons why we use the Meanwell. It's a very, very good power supply. It's very able, and we're able to make it in such a manner that anybody can swap it out if it fails. And that's important to do, not only for usefulness, but for safety. You don't want to be in there if you're not comfortable soldering or cutting wires, or maybe you didn't think to unplug it first. We have to take all those things into consideration so that way nobody hurts themselves, because this can be very dangerous stuff.
Right. Well, you got me completely. I can't stop thinking about a 6-foot cross. So that's what I would want. So I want to talk about, we talked about the different kind of comms and everything. So do you have any new technology that you're working on? What's your newest technology that you're excited about, Dan?
Well, 2017, I think it's already been talked about. It's going to be very interesting. In 2016, we didn't see a lot in the way of new cob technology. We saw the adoption of Citizen come into play, and Luminous and other brands that brought a good chip to the market at a good price. We saw people playing around. I think that going back to the days of guys like Grow Mouse and Green Jeans, who were the spectrum hunters and messed around with the different blends, I think we're going to see that come more into play in 2017, and there are a few reasons for that. I think that people played around a lot as the price of cobs have come down a little bit. They've become more approachable. You know, this guy, well, let me see, where's McCree? This guy is now in the $30 range. And this guy used to be, if you bought it at DigiKey a few years ago, you're paying $80 to $90 each. So when the price comes down, we see people more apt to try new things, to maybe step a little bit out of their comfort zone, try something more bold, more light, or whatnot. So what I'm seeing with new products is very exciting, because we're seeing stuff like this guy. This is an extremely odd chip. So this is the Bridgelux food decor line. This chip is actually designed and developed for distribution mainly in the EU marketplace. They use them in boulangeries, they use them in patisseries, they use them in meat cases where neonatal intensive care units, where lighting is very important, where having that richness of red is very integral to the reproduction of the light. So the use of this in plants is relatively untested. We have bought a bunch of these. We've placed them in the hands of growers who are testing them, who are doing full run with these guys, like 1750 Kelvin veg. And we're seeing what's happening, what's it doing. So I think what's happening and what you're going to see is, all right, cool. I've got my tried and true 3500 Kelvin. Everybody loves it for full cycle because it's got a lot of blue, it's got a lot of red, it produces good results. There are a lot of grow journals that have shown the efficacy in various cultures, various medium, various strains. So we've gotten very comfortable with that. But now it's going to be interesting to see what happens when I take that And let's say I've got 200 watts of that, and I add in 100 watts of this, because now I can power this guy at 100 watts of 1750, which if I wanted to increase my red, I'd have to run these guys. And I love them, but they're so damn expensive, and you need a lot of them. So as the cost has come down, I think you're going to see more innovation. Our products are going to allow the grower to move things around more. To, hey, let's say I bought a light, and let's say it's got 4 lights, right? 2 here and 2 here. Well, let's say I want to add one in the middle. No problem. We can do that. We can modify the color temperature blend, if you will. We can do all these things very simply, move them around, and really alter things. Is it working? Is it not working? Fine, tweak it. You know, giving people the options and the different tools, and the growers are the ones that are going to know what's working. Is this particular thing working for them or not? And that our job is there to design the product based on their needs, their particular wants. And now we've just got a lot more stuff to deal with. We have more levers we can pull. A question I get that is comes up a lot is, how do I add UV and you know, so there are a lot of things that come into play. Nod to method 7, controlling that safety. I think a lot of people don't think, you know, hey, UVA, UVB. Granted, UVA, a little safer. Still, the exposure is very, very bad for you. How do you protect your light? How do you protect your eyes? How do you protect your skin? If you're under cobs, these are very, very intense lights, much like an HPS-based light. So how do you control yourself? How do you maintain all of that? That's going to be really important.
Awesome. I meant to do this a long time ago because we're all into this. So what is your Instagram handle? I know Malik can put it up there for us. What is it?
Sure, it's just Timber Grow Lights.
Okay, so at Timber Grow Lights, he's doing a 5,000 follower IG giveaway. So make sure you go follow him up. I'm sure there's lots of information that you can be gleaned from his account, and probably some pretty cool stuff too. So we want to make sure that we get you over there, get the weed nerds following you. And other than like working directly, how do we get your products? Just go to your website. Do you have distributors?
We do not. So everything comes directly. It's built in San Diego. Everything is handcrafted by lighting professionals, and we get calls from hydro shops and resellers who want to sell our product. Customers have gone into hydro shops and ordered their products through them. The issue we have with regards to distribution through secondary channels is our product by design is so configurable. It's impossible to give every option to a hydro shop. So the best way to do it is to call us up if you have questions. Hit us up on chat. Send us an email, sales@timbergrowlights.com. You can always reach me, dan@timbergrowlights.com. We love questions. We love picture diagrams. We love the challenge, and we love to help the customer. We're a very, very customer-focused company. Roots super, super deep, very customer-focused, and we really want to let that shine through the product.
Awesome. Awesome. And they didn't put this down here, but I have to ask you, do you have a favorite strain, or are you a cannabis guy, a wax guy, an oil guy, a bong guy? What's your deal, man?
Well, that's a damn good question. It's been very, very long since I've smoked. But okay, back in the day, I definitely smoked enough to get me through retirement age for sure. And definitely an indica man. And
awesome.
OG was the thing.
Very cool, very cool. We want to thank you for coming on, and we urge you to hang around a little bit. We're going to hash it up just a little bit with you and the Method 7 guys. Yeah, a little bit of stuff here. Some questions. Normally, I would have one of the mods read them to me, but it's easier sometimes if I just go. So these are Subcool and Michelle questions, so we want to get these out the way. And there's a couple of stories in here. So what the fuck happened with the T1 internet and the dumbasses try to install it? So seriously, I'm going to try to tell the story as short as possible. The story goes something like this. Baby, I cannot fucking wait 20 seconds for every email that I answer from the weed nerds any longer. So I'm thinking about getting a T1 line, and maybe we'll have some streaming show action when it's raining. Cool. Sounds great. Hello, Subcool here. My internet sucks ass. Zebra assholes. I need it fixed. I don't have a cable coming to my house. I don't have wires coming to my house. I live in the middle of fucking nowhere, and I need help. Okay, Mr. Subcool, we can help you. We need a deposit, a credit app, 7 damn emails to sign up for the T1. Guys calling me, asking me questions. Okay, great. We're going to ship you the equipment. Okay, good. Ship. Let's go. So they show up Friday and
7:30 in the morning.
7:30 in the morning. Yeah, there's a whole crew of them.
4 trucks.
4 dudes, 4 foremen to oversee some other dude, and the one worker. I was always the worker, by the way, in this scenario. So he's like, "Where's your telephone?" I'm like, "I don't know, fucker. You're with the telephone company. Come on." Yeah, AT&T. Like, "Where's your telephone box?" I'm like,
we do it on a rock.
Yeah, so we go out, find the box. Here's the box. Okay, so he opens up the box. Like, seriously, this is 4 weeks ago I caught this. So he opens it up and he goes, "This the only wire you got?" And I'm like, "Dude, I called you. I grow weed for a fucking living. I'm not asking you questions about how to grow weed, okay? I'm asking you for damn faster internet." So they talk to each other. I come back inside. I go online with you guys, bitch about it. Take some Instagram pictures of these stupid fuckers standing in my driveway. I'm like, "You fuckers are on social media, just so you know, looking like a bunch of dumbasses. By the way, we stream more than NASA, so fucking everybody knows you're a bunch of dumbasses." So another hour ensues, and I go back out there, and they're still standing around. And I'm like, "So what's the deal?" He goes, "Well, the line comes in over here on the telephone pole over there." I said, "Yeah, I know that much, dude." And he's like, "Well, it kind of goes in the ground somewhere and disappears and it comes to your house." I said, "All of this stuff I already knew when I called you guys for T1. I thought you guys were actually going to come run something to my house." "Oh, no. Well, if you don't have enough wire on your phone, then we can't install the DSL." So apparently I don't have 7 wires coming to my house. So you can't get there from here. And that is the story of the T111. Literally was willing to throw $10,000 at the problem. So I guess the next thing we can do is build some kind of tower out in the yard to put the satellite on. But we all know if I go through all this process, the first day it fucking rains, you guys are going to be telling me that I'm clipping and you can't hear the damn music. So it is what it is, and I'm really happy that the signal is working tonight. Someone wants to know if I plan on gene mapping the rest of the genetics. And I have my own demonstration here. Give me 1 second. I should have been a little more prepared.
That's okay. That was my question. Yeah, I put that one in there for you, Sub. I wanted to, I was just curious if you were going to, map out the rest of the TGA menu or not. I saw last night when you were on Dago's channel that you were demonstrating some of, the misinformation on the graph. And I was just curious as to what, maybe you could put on the table to help clear their bullshit mess up. So
it's not misinformation. So I want to make sure that I don't dog anybody. But I want to show you, if we can show here. Is this the one? So here we go. Okay, so if we look at this, this is, I submitted my male cutting of Jack the Ripper. I wasn't ready to give these people my Jack the Ripper female yet. I'm still sussing all these people out. So they can only use information that they've been given. So a couple of things they've been given over here, and I love this. So they've got Vortex God's pussy in direct relation to each other. And that's because when the guy from Green Bicycles actually entered God's pussy, it was actually 3rd dimension. No shit, it really was 3rd dimension. We know that now because of the genetics. So, but this company is not taking this seriously. And he told us. So this company is not taking this shit seriously, in my opinion. So they're a genetics company. This company's testing males, thousands and tens of thousands of males throughout California.
Look at that jelly bean shit.
Oh, I'm getting there next. We're getting there next. Okay, so the next one is, in relation to it, is a strain called Jelly Bean. Okay, now I can't change Jelly Bean because I am not the author. I didn't put this in. And they're not changing it because it's public information, and ergo is the fucking problem. So if this is supposed to be genetic information, it's fucking wrong genetic information. I mean, here's your strain report for Jelly.
So how did Tangy sneak in there under apparent
Well, they're all because they're all related. That's a related. They're all related.
Okay, gotcha.
But so this is something that someone has submitted as jelly bean, and now forever on this genetic database, this is what they're going to be going off of for our strain, first strain that she created, jelly bean.
I think that it might be a misspelling and they should just fucking fix it.
This is how it was entered by this person, because I have the ability on my samples when I go in here. Excuse me. So I can actually go into mine.
So the person,
See, I can actually edit when I submit a strain. I can actually edit the photographs.
Oh, wow.
I can give the mother name, the father name. I can give the history when I created it, how it was made. And the reason I spent so much time typing this in is because I'm not making fun of these people. The more data they get, then the more accurate their information will be. One of the reasons that you see Blue Dream pop up so often on this test is because Blue Dream is one of the most cultivated cultivars in America right now, and they've had like 3,000 fucking samples.
So let me ask, if I were to submit a sample of my jelly bean, would they also put that up there next to jelly bean?
No, it would be your own submission under our thing, but then it would go in the Galaxy. And yeah, it would be next to it in the Galaxy.
So I should probably...
Let me show you what the Galaxy looks like real quick here. Sorry
I have a
about
lovely
this.
one growing right now. If you go check out my
Oh God, hers is crazy.
my Instagram at Ms. Jill Grower.
I want the Galaxy.
MZJILL Grower.
Sorry guys, been completely ridiculous. But I want you to see this Galaxy. It's kind of what how's it at? Oh come on. Sorry guys. So this is what the Galaxy looks like. So this is all the strains in the world, and they're mapped out. So when they, and a lot of this is I don't want to call it smoke and mirrors, but a lot of this is graphics. So stoners will get fucking baked and spend a lot of time in this Galaxy looking for shit. So this is the Galaxy of all the strains. Yeah, so you go click on something in the Galaxy and it'll take you to what it is. So there's Sour Kush, or you click over here. And this is Black Eye Culprit, or you click over here. There's your Sour Diesel. And as you can see, this Gal 306 clone group is submitting tons and tons of stuff. So the more information they get, there's a Bruce Banner. And this information is piling up. So the more data they get.
So I need to put my jelly bean next to that jelly bean.
Exactly. So now watch this. So let's type jelly bean. This is the problem with the system. I just typed jelly bean and nothing came up. See how stupid that is? So if we go back here and we type jelly bean, it's going to come up.
You popped out.
No, it doesn't come up. Oh, really? Jelly bean. See it's wrong. So that'll take us into the Galaxy. So we go to the Galaxy and there's jelly bean right there.
And mine would be listed right below that as jelly bean.
Yeah. So anyway, so you can see that they've got a long way to go. Somebody wanted to know, the question was, are we going to genetic map all our strains? We are. But I'm not sold on the genetics yet because they're asking me where the cheese came from. They're asking me where the Urkel come from. And I'm awesome pot god and all that shit. I'm just a dude that grew up one day and decided to grow some weed. And I happen to know a lot about weed, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not a botanist. And if they're basing it off of me and you guys in Overgrow, I wonder how exact the information is. So that was my rant on that. Miss Jill, they want to know your thoughts on the no-till garden.
You know, I actually really, I'm interested in trying it out. I'm going to go ahead and get my garden set up. I'm going to run a cycle or so, my old way, super soil, just exact same way, make sure I got it all dialed in with the water, because the pH here is much, much higher. So I have to add quite a bit of pH down. So anyways, I will give it a run. I'm going to try it with a couple of plants. We do 4 plants at a time per light. So we call that a quadrant. So I'm going to take 2 out of 1 quadrant that are all of the same strain, and I'm going to try the no-till in those 2, and with my super soil, and then I'm going to try 2 without and see if there is any kind of difference, and really whether if I don't see a noticeable difference in my plants directly, I'm going to continue to go ahead and use it, because the benefit to that point, because I'm not 100% sure that it will prove much benefit to the plants that are actually indoors.
Right.
Because I don't think it has enough time to break down and do its business. but it will benefit the soil that will be put into our compost for our outdoor next year. So,
and I already like the close cover crop indoors just for general shading, even if it did not a lot. If you had like a small crop to keep the top of the soil just a little more moist, I could see that.
Well,
being
you know,
a
somebody
benefit.
say no, don't pH, no till. Well, here's the deal with that. I'm not going to change the pHing deal because my plants have run really well when I pH anywhere between 6.2 to 6.8. I like to range it. I like to do a 6.2, and the next time maybe 6.4, and the next time maybe a 6.6, and then 6.8. And then I work back down because nutrients are available more readily at different pH balances. So
and I'll tell you this.
well, I'm sorry, but the reason I would want to go ahead and pH the water here, more importantly, is the pH at my water in Oregon was at 7, and then that's pretty good. That's decent. And the pH here is got to be, I haven't tested it yet, but it's got to be about 8.5 because I use 7 drops of pH down to get to a 6.2 at 7 pH in my barrels specifically, that amount. And in my exact same barrels, it's taken me up in 30 amount of 30 drops to get to the pH level that I need to get at. So I know the pH is running maybe even close to 9. It's
I don't think it's that high, but it's high. So behind the scenes, Jill's doing things her way, and I'm telling her I haven't checked the pH in over 2 years because I don't, and I don't slave over things and stuff like this. But I'm gonna tell you right now on cam in front of 405 people, Miss Jill grows better weed than me. She is more attentive to the details and the facts. And yeah, I didn't know my pH was 7.7 or 7.8 or whatever. And while the garden looked great,
8.5.
When Jilly's plants came into the garden, they looked fucking better. I mean, you'd have to be an idiot to not see the difference. So,
and you know, and even though we do not have city water here, even though we're on a well, that means I need to actually check my pH more often. Pretty much every time I pH, every time I water, because it shifts here because we're on a well, we're in a holding tank, and it depends on the weather and how things are doing. When you're on city water, it pretty much stays consistent always. So it is important to check the pH, and like I said, it's the nutrients. It's very important for the nutrient uptake.
and so anyway, the garden looks fantastic, and you guys can watch. And pretty soon you can probably watch a timber because I know she'll let me hang a 6-foot cross in there with some additional.
Oh yeah,
light.
I'll definitely
So
add.
and believe me,
I won't take away.
you laugh, Dan. Trust
I don't
me.
like to change.
If I said, like, if I told her anything else but that, she'd say no. Like,
Yeah.
if I said, hey,
We're
I want to
gonna
hang
remove
some
light. No.
fucking this. When I start talking about removing the XXL Magnum hoods with the single end and hanging some DEs up top, she's freaking the fuck out. So I'm going to have to talk her into it because I got a humidity problem.
But
we-
you
we'll
know,
work into it.
also, I would actually like one of his lights in my veg too for my mom's. It's just something I could put a little bit lower over against that corner
Yeah,
wall
just
because
one of
it's a
those
real
singles.
blank spot. We would
And
yeah,
plenty of
maybe
cooling
a
there.
6 foot, 2 foot wide.
So somebody wants to know what next tattoo I got. That's my last one. I have a theory: the older you get, the more ink you can get, especially if you're a guy, because it don't matter. Nobody looks at you anyway. So I know you do, baby. So I've always been thinking about this, and I'm not sure if this is the one or not, but I've always wanted to go old school and get a tattoo of Jill on me. So this is her James Franco pinup artwork that you'll start to be seeing. I've already got one on my
I need one of those.
lunchbox.
I need one of those.
I know you do.
From a case.
We will be giving some of these away in just a little bit. But anyway, I will probably get something like this or another picture of Jill. That would be my next tattoo. Let me blast through these questions real quick. We've been fucking off. What are you going to call Quirkle Time Black Cherry Soda? We're going to call it Black Dahlia. It's got to go through extensive testing. The first time we ran it, we got really good results, but we also got a couple of naysays. So I really like the cross. There's no reason it shouldn't work, but it does. I will also tell you guys, and this is probably not something you'd hear from any breeder on the fucking planet, but the Gorilla Glue cross times the Quirkle cross that North Star made for us for testing is not getting great reports. So if you are running this tester from us, make sure that you do not stress it out and make sure you keep your eyes open because hermaphrodite reports have come up. We also have Equal Gardens. He's in the channel right now running it, and he's having no problem. But we never have reports this early on strains. And I can pretty much tell you that 3 bad emails on a test one will kill it. So that's just the honest to God's truth. We don't play around when we get negative information. It's rare. But that's the scoop on that. What are the hopes for the Mendo Dope Cross? Well, we already know it's going to smell fucking killer. We already know it's going to make extracts like crazy. My only negative on this one is going to be yield. It is a gorgeous columnar plant that doesn't get a lot of leaf. It's got a high calyx pistil ratio. But it is not that big donkey dick thing that we kind of look for. It's more that rock hard sugary bud. So I've got 4 running right now, and we're going to have to see, see what it is. So let's see. No, the strawberry lemonade. No. Let's see. I think that's it.
I was going to do a cherry lemonade cherry pie cross Jack the Ripper, but because of our move and combining gardens, we had to kill off my Jack the Ripper male, and we will be combining it with the Space Queen male. So let's see what we got.
All right, guys.
So how about
let's do it. You ready? So it is now 8 o'clock. I appreciate everything. So just listen to me real quick. As I said, normally this is when we start being silly, and I turn on some music, and I just relax because I'm still having the seizures. I just had a seizure a minute ago. My hands are shaking and everything. But if I play a song on this thing, then this show won't keep. And there's lots of really good information on this. So now we are taking questions. So I don't know if we have any questions real quick.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's asking. But for first, let's smoke a hit. So here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a bunch of questions, and I'm down with a hit.
Before we start our questions, I'd like to ask chat one thing tonight. I'd like to find out the good old what's everybody smoking on out there. If you'd let us know in chat, that'd be awesome. Sub
Yes,
Cool,
sir.
what do you got in your pipe over there?
Dude, I'm still smoking. So everything, anytime you ask me a question, it's fucking story time. Okay, so you guys know I have all the elite hash makers on the planet. They want a spot in my freezer, and I have a half a snowman in my fucking refrigerator right now with extracts and stuff. Some of them so fucking incredible. People come in my house and take one hit, and they don't fucking speak again. They're like, I don't talk to them no more. I guess some shit is in there. So I've been playing around with a lot of different people. So I had Mr. Vaughn make me some delicious sherbet hash. That's what is that, baby? The Galactic?
Galactic Jack.
That's the great.
Nice.
Good fucking bomb ass. I mean, so when we got that, I got the hash back from some of my hash makers. So I let Vaughn make the hash. And Vaughn, and if he's watching, he's gonna get a little upset with me. Vaughn cannot grate as much of it as some of the guys here. So there's an art to it. You freeze it, you get a puck, you grate it, you shave the sugar off, and you're left with this little bit of clump. And the clump supposedly doesn't have as high quality. It contains a little moisture and shit. So the clump left over from the wash of the sherbet was a little more than the other guy said. But the beach sand that he made, like 16, 17 grams of beach sand, is some of the most incredible hash extract I've ever smoked in my life. It's water-based, so it doesn't have any chemicals in it. It looks like a brown sugar. You take it out and you put it in a glass dish, and within 2 minutes it melts into a puck. It's easy to handle. It tastes like cherries, and it's incredibly potent. So long-winded, yeah, it's really good. So, all right, so are you guys ready to count some numbers? We got to play some games. We got to wake everybody up. Are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
So
let me hit this. Hold on.
Okay, everybody we're going to have all the lots. We're going to have some fun.
I love this. This is probably my favorite part of the show now.
Yeah, Dan and Method 7, if you guys can see the YouTube chat and you want to participate, we watch these numbers fly by, and it's crazy. You'll like this.
So we're only gonna do one. We're only gonna do one, but this is gonna be a good one, okay? And by the way, I have to ask a question. I'm really favor. Sometimes I'm really stoned when I do these things, and I can forget the shit that's going on. So at least one mod probably mail it. Remind me what we're giving away and make sure I get the proper address so that I don't forget something. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and this is gonna be between 1 and 500, and it is gonna be for a gnat pin. And what else? We need something good.
How about all of the pins?
Okay, one of all the pins. Okay,
and then
so for one of all the pins, the gnat pin, the TGA logo pin, and the glass pin. So for 3 hat pins, a number between 1 and 500. Go.
And we're off.
And they're off.
Yeah, there you go. It's like sound effects.
I love this. It takes like there's like a 5-second delay, and then here it is. The chat just rolls so fast you can't see it anymore. And I want to thank all the weed nerds for participating in this. This is great community support right here.
What's the number?
That's fine.
I just roll
We
so
need a
fast.
number. There we go.
I gotta go to Nat. Be right back.
Ooh, close.
Hey, I'm talking. Okay, well, here we go. Let's go ahead and load another bowl while we're waiting. So what I was also saying about the water situation and pHing it and everything. So I like to put my water in buckets. They're big muck tubs for cleaning out horse stalls. And I like to put my water in those. It takes 3 of them full to water my entire garden. But even though I am not on chlorinated water anymore, I still like to bubble it out, put some oxygen in it, and also maybe, you know, just whatever might possibly be in it, any trace elements that might possibly bubble out. I'm not sure. I just think it's good to do as well as it serves so I can pH.
Yeah. And you know, I got to tell you, got it. We got one.
All right.
Here, big guy.
Yeah, it looks like we have KY Weed Nerds 420.
You.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
I was all watching the numbers fly by, and then I see a little Miss Jill in a heart. I love it.
That's funny. And that's a lot of fun to see that go up. And I got to tell you guys, the guests watching, so we don't quite understand it, but we've been above NASA several times on the stream. We've been above Al Jazeera, Fox, and National Basketball, but we think it's because of the interaction. We're not just showing off. We have some kind of interaction going on. So now we're going to try something brand new. We may fail on this. You guys stop typing numbers because we have to get the chat back in order to get stuff going on. So, and again, all right, you guys stop. How are we going to give away some stuff if you guys don't stop?
Come on.
Okay, cool. All right, so you got to check this out. So we're gonna auction this off. We're gonna try this. So I think Malik has the link. So the link, and we're gonna try this for a few minutes. Now we got a few minutes.
Hey,
Let me get back to some questions and stuff.
Come say hi to the nerds. Come here.
But we're trying to have some fun here.
Toke wants to say hi to everyone. Hey, Toke.
Hey, Tokers. All right, so now we're gonna auction this off. So this is a what the hell is the name of this thing? This is a jar text, and for all you older weed nerds in the house, you're gonna fucking laugh your ass off. This is a gift from a weed nerd, and we actually have permission to auction this off. Okay, so the way we're gonna do it is once I show it to you, I'm gonna say go. Everybody's gonna put an auction. When we grab the winner, we get the information, and you'll send in your information to the to one of the mods. Make sure that you include your name, your address, and what you want. So this is called the jar text. So check this out. You open this up, and it's just a jar, pretty simple little thing. But what I thought was really cool was the completeness of it. So all you old guys that used to smoke hash off a pen, so there's your pen. So you just put your pen in here, and you got a hash on your glass. Well, he went to another level if he actually put a hose on here. So now you got a hose and you got a mouthpiece. So now you can just smoke hash out of your little jar. So it's a little jar piece, glass under jar. I showed this to people in Amsterdam. They were blown the fuck away. But we used to have to slide it to the corner of a book. And so you were always touching your lips to the side of the glass and everything, which is a dash unsanitary. Now, when I first opened this, and I've always given these away, and this will not be being shipped out with the product. It's one of the reasons I opened it. Check this out. There's a little piece of tape right here.
U.S. only.
And in here, yeah. Oh yeah, these are U.S. only. In here is 2 grams of jelly bean hash. So he had it taped to the damn side of the thing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we take that out. So this gift is up for auction. Go right now. The money's going to go to John St. Croix. Yeah, minus the hash. It's going to go to John St. Croix Sr. for his lung transplant. Does anybody want to make a bid on the jar text? And the jar text will come with other cool stuff too. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see if this is going to work.
Come on, guys.
Am I killing the show?
I want that jar. I just opened up the bid for everyone at $50.
Yeah, we'll watch the bids as we go. I was also going to see if Method 7 and Timber wanted to come back in and do that little bit of talking they was talking about with the Spectrum stuff and what it takes.
Yeah, no, I did. I want to get this started. So.
Oh yeah, there we go. $100. Millie Lavender.
$100 on the board.
Millie Lavender. $100 to you.
And the conversation piece too.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead
And
and type it, whatever you have.
I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna do one more thing, and then we'll get back to the show. So that's one. That's package one. The first thing we showed was package one.
101.
101. The second package is for a Mendo Dope Frisbee, a custom Weed Nerd pin. There's only one like it. It's the last one. Jill had a special made. A autism awareness pin. 2 Toker chips, TGA Toker chips. There's not many of them around. And a set of bracelets. Gift pack number 2 with the Mendo Dope Frisbee. All right. You guys got that? Package 1, hash, smoking thing. Package 2, Frisbee and thing. So you guys throw it up there. Make sure you get your winning bid to the mod. Looks like Amelia Lavender won.
No, we had a 101 after.
I had a 101. And you guys can also fight for the Toker chips. So now I want to kick it back to Timber. And Method 7. So you guys had some questions.
Well, why don't we, with that Toker chip, why don't we throw in one of these and one of your Weed Nerd stickers as well?
Okay, cool.
Ooh,
so stickers too.
Real quick here, I just want to chime in for chat. I just want to let you know when you place your bid in chat, please let us know if you're bidding on package one or package 2. Package 2 is the one with the Mendo Dope Frisbees, and package 1 is the one with the jar pipe.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, guys. And sorry for kind of, especially the panelists, sorry for this. We're trying to play around a little bit, trying to raise a little bit of money for Josh. As you know, we've raised around $1,300 for Josh St. Croix Sr. He's an Alpha 1 patient, year and a half on the lung transplant list, just spent a good bit of time in San Diego. By the way, always not negative news. If you'll take a look at his Instagram account, he got to go to the beach and spend some time with his family. As an Alpha 1, you take any time you get to spend with your family very hard.
You look forward as fuck.
So, yeah, they're always picking on Sid in the background. So, anyway, we do appreciate that. Package 1, package 2, let the mods know. So, I want to kick it back to the Spectrum guys and the lighting guys. So let's talk about this real quick between you guys. So, where are we going to go? Since LED technology is obviously moving toward the white spectrum, even I, as an old school guy, can see that that's where it's going. We're going to go a lot for the cobs. I see this is where it's going. It's more efficient from what I can see, and the only problem is the heat. And so what's going to go on in the industry here between you two guys?
Well, we certainly, we've seen the trend of going towards LED. We see with companies like Timber that have more sophisticated technologies than some of us were exposed to in the early days with LEDs. There's a lot more faith. We certainly know that in the food world, LEDs are going off. I mean, if you're going to do indoor food where your stack and grows, LEDs is the only way to do it. You can't handle the heat of high pressure sodium, it's not as efficient. But so that technology is bleeding over. So we're preparing for, as a company, we're preparing so that we can offer better products for folks as they finally settle in with companies like what Timber's got going on.
Awesome.
I think that there's a lot of changes, and Method 7 can definitely weigh in on this, but the way that you run a cob light versus an HPS light, you're much closer to the canopy. The lights are closer to your face. The mechanics of how you interact with your garden are a little different. The light is closer. The different spectrum, if you're in veg versus flower, and does that need to be taken into account when you're determining lenses and what you put into them? So those type of things I think are going to become a little more prevalent. Are the needs different, for a straight white light versus a mix? I kind of leave that up to the Method 7. Obviously, they're the experts on that, but definitely we're seeing a lot of intensity. We're seeing folks really maximizing, especially in their flowering areas, really maximizing the amount of power that their plants can utilize, and that as humans is transposed into lumens, which the strength is very high. So polarized lenses a lot of our growers use, but is there something better? Is there something safer? We would definitely love to work with Method 7 if they needed intel, if they needed product to test. We're definitely on board for that, for sure.
Yeah, we can help. I think one of the misconceptions with eyeglasses in general and sunglasses is that people think dark means protection. And you think that by using a dark lens in a bright environment, that that's protection, when in fact that's not always the case. A dark lens means your pupil opens up more. If it's not a good quality lens, it could mean you're getting more UV to your actual eye. So what we've learned as a company, that what you want is good light. And the more light you get to your eyes, the better your eyes are going to function. The more information you have, the easier it is for your eyes and brain to work. So what we do is we don't try to make dark lenses. We try to make lenses that pick the light that we want to let come to the eye and eliminate the bad stuff. And with full spectrum LEDs, like Timber's working with, again, you look at it and you say, wow, there's a lot of white light. It's just like wearing my regular street sunglasses is going to be fine. But in fact, there's some subtle things going on. There's a little bit of blue energy, which we don't really want to get to our eyes. And it's nice if Method 7 glasses can take that out. That's great. So it's fun. It's a lot of challenge for us. And it's going to be difficult as a company to, as more full spectrum lights come to market, it's going to be difficult to convince growers, hey, your Ray-Bans, your street sunglasses may not be the best choice because it's going to look like a regular light. So that's going to be fun. It'll be great to work closer with Timber, and as we develop this. Like I said, we've got 2 or 3 of these lenses in the works, and we do overkill. We designed in case there's UV. There often isn't. If there's infrared heat, we just want to make sure everybody's completely covered, especially as we experiment, especially as we mix courses, and also so you can walk right outside and rock your glasses. So it's fun. We love these challenges.
Well, cool. Well, you make sure that I get some of the new gear here so I can support it on the show. I've actually been lax. I don't know where half my pair are that you guys sent me. So, and Dan, I want to make sure we get this 6-foot cross I've been dreaming of for so long. And we do appreciate it. It is time, and I don't know if we have any stocked or not. It is time for 30 minutes of stupid questions, and they're not stupid questions. A little history for the guests. I used to kind of have a Howard Stern delivery when I'm on my show in the old days. Before I had guests, when it was just me, did lots of cussing. That's how Zebra Assholes came about. But I would make fun of the silly questions that people would ask. So we created this little thing, and I don't know how many they have in the kit, but we'll get started now. So for the next 30 minutes, you guys can ask any of us any question. We will not make fun of you. We will not ridicule you. We don't care what the question is. We will do our best to answer it. We will not tell you how to Google it. So I see a first one here. Sub, how do you make super soil? Well, there's a super soil recipe on the back of my menu. It's also on our website. We generally like Jill is going to make some up.
We'll do another video of that.
Yeah, we'll do another video. It's online. I'm not saying to go look at it, but what we do is we lay a giant tarp out. We spread all the soil out on the giant tarp. We make sure it's decent days. It's not crap and everything blowing around. We don't do it inside because of the volume it takes. And I would go ahead and tell you that every soil company.
I do it on a tarp.
She does it on a tarp. Yeah, I do too. Every soil company in the world does not have a building where even Soil King does not have a soil inside. So they just have to deal with that. We do it quickly as we can. We mix up all the ingredients properly, store it in heavyweight garbage cans. We moisten the super soil.
2 gallons of water.
2 gallons of water. Recently, because of certain things like gnats and shit that are so bad in Cali, I put neem meal on the top of mine. Jill kind of approaches things a little differently. But it certainly doesn't hurt to try something like spinosad or some preventative at that time, because a lot of the soil's coming with gnats.
Well, you know what I like to actually do is I like to put my mites on top of the super soil in the barrel. I realize they're not going to live because they're not going to continue to have something to eat, a food source. But there is some in there, and it does help get rid of what is in there before you bring it into your grow room as a just to start with. But as far as making the super soil, you can also look on my IG account is Ms. Jill Grower, and you can see it pretty much step by step. There's pictures and descriptions on it.
Yep. Good job, baby. Somebody wanted to know on soil, is Pro Mix a good base for soil mix? It is not a bad mix. Right now, me and Jill are currently in a tiny debate. She's using Roots as the soil base for her super soil because it's what we have used our entire life. It is.
I know it works.
She knows it works. She knows it's base. Right now, California Roots is eat up with fucking gnats. I mean, literally, if you cut open the bag, they fly out. Jill's not worried about it. She's going to dry the soil out and address the gnats, and so she'll take care of it. I cannot at this time tell you to make super soil with Soil King soil.
We don't know. I want to make a batch with his soil, but he's actually, what I'm going to do is I want to run a couple of my plants in his bloom.
Just plain, yeah.
His bloom,
That's what we're going to do
see
now.
how it works.
So, anyways, Pro Mix will definitely work for super soil. I find Roots works really good. Surprisingly enough, and has nothing to do with just me being honest with you, I do not like Ocean Forest. I don't like Fox Farm products. I find them out of balance to grow cannabis. So, for what's worth, why is my underwear on backwards? Because you're a dumbass.
No, you like
where did super soil idea come from? Vic High used to have a recipe on the BCGA boards. In fact, my haters have attacked me for copying the recipe. Vic's recipe had 6 ingredients, while mine has upwards of 20. All I did was just add on to a recipe. I was like, you know what? I bet this would be good, and I bet that would be good, and I kept fucking around and fucking around.
You know, and I still, with the nutrient, with your super soil that I have listed as of now, I actually add in insect frass because that helps deter insects. I add quite a bit of that in, and I also add quite a bit more micros.
Excellent.
You know what? Can I chime in there for a second? You know what's cool about the insect frass is just like crab meal, it has chitin. And it releases hormones in the plant that makes it believe that it's under attack by bugs, and it starts building its own immune system to resist pests, and it starts communicating with the soil through root exudates, and the soil actually goes to work harder for you when using those types of product.
That might be part of the reason I do not have a problem with fungus gnats.
No. And we applied lots
Awesome.
of that outsource. So. All right, let's see. Do a super soil sterilization. I don't have an oven big enough. How do you spray for bugs? How often? Brand type. Miss Jill uses Nemo Spaces Miles. We also have used a couple of different types of predators. We tried Met 52, and I'm not trashing a company, but I cannot say that the $110 biological Met 52 did shit in our garden.
But that was also because your garden was too overwatered. Because
yeah, but still, I don't see that it did anything. So now, as far as things we use in the garden, we use spinosad or Captain Jack's Dead Bug for mites. We will use that product. The other product that we will use is Azmax. Jill does not like to use shit.
I don't use anything.
Jill doesn't like to use shit.
If I was going to use anything, it would just be the safer soap.
Yeah.
And that would be when I'm bringing a plant in, when I have it in quarantine, I would definitely use the safer soap to help get rid of everything as I rub the leaves and keep it in quarantine. And by the way, when I quarantine a plant, I like to keep it with no, under very low light, and I like to keep it with no wind circulation. That way, if there is a bug infestation of any type that I've missed, I would definitely notice it after 2 weeks.
Gonjalon says, try to remember to wear a dust mask. That is really good. I usually just try to stay downwind. That's kind of stupid.
I tell people to keep back from it when they're sprinkling like the bone meal and blood meal and such, especially.
Let's see here. What's your oldest strain and what strains you use the most in your genetics? Space Queen. We found the Dude. It was the first male cannabis plant that I had worked with. It was the first male cannabis plant that actually grew resin on the fan leaves.
Amazing.
Also, the first male plant that I gave to some redneck buddies of mine. Told them to smoke a big joint when they went fishing. Told them they probably wouldn't get high as a male. They didn't end up going fishing. They got so fucking stoned they couldn't find the lake. So we figured it was the right male. So I always thought that was pretty good. So
and he has proven so
he's
well.
proven himself so well. I can tell you that other breeders covet him. So it's one thing I'll tell you about a company. We only have 4 active males now, working on 5. So companies take years to vest. If you were listening the other day when Brothers Grimm was here, Brothers Grimm's actually said, check that out. Brothers Grimm actually said the same thing. Duke has 4 males. So let's see. Check out Biotactics Incorporated for dealing with bugs outdoors. Absolutely. They just treated Mendo Dope's garden, and he's going to give me some biologicals in about 3 weeks. It's kind of funny. He asked me what I was treating. I said, I'm not treating nothing, but I'm growing 12 giant plants next to oleander bushes covered in fucking mites and oak trees covered in whatever the hell. I'm sure something's going to be walking down on my beautiful cannabis plants. So that's next. Let's see. Any chance of getting some Mendo Dope seeds? Absolutely. Unless I miss my guess, Mendo Dope will be throwing the seeds off of the stage very soon.
Yeah.
So Dunk's got a Method 7 lens cover up there that he puts on his DLSR, correct?
Nice.
Yeah, someone just asked if Method 7 makes glasses for a DSLR, and I was like, yep, they're right here.
There you go.
It's cool.
Perfect. Yep. In my day, I would have been all over that.
Soon they'll
shit.
have them for cell phones.
Yep. Let's see. Thanks for answering my question. If you got on point, I'm actually using Ocean Force right now. I don't feel good about it for some reason. Yeah. The way you can fix Ocean Force is mix 2 bags of Ocean Force with 1 bag of Light Warrior. It's suitable. It's okay. The Light Warrior's got a bunch of aeration products in there, and it cuts the Ocean Force down a little bit. My longest single time in jail was 13 months. That was in Wisconsin, waiting on a warrant, believe it or fucking not.
And then it got worse.
And then it got worse. Any advice other than scrub to keep stress down? I was thinking of flushing these first 3 weeks of flower. Any other ideas? Well, I don't know if this will actually help you, Jordan, but and we don't do it because of our quadrant system. But if you're running CO2, if you won't run your CO2 the first 2 to 3 weeks of bloom, you won't get the wicked stretch that we get. I don't mind stretch that much. I have kind of a weird thought on stretch. As long as your grow room can handle the stretch, it allows the buds to separate on the stem. And we actually have some of our, Jilly Bean, some of the tallest plants in our garden, 6.5 foot tall. The quadrant shield 3 fucking pounds. So, I'll deal with a little stretch for fucking $9,600 off of 1 fucking light every 60 days.
Right.
So that's serious economics right there.
Right.
Let's see. I got a question for Dan. Myself. Dan, how come, and I know the answer, but I want to hear it again. How come we can't have 1,000-watt LEDs? I mean, it's about heat. I get it's about heat, but from a guy's run thousands his whole life, it's just weird, you guys, with these 315s and the 630s. Can you spend a minute on that? Why the voltages are just different?
Sub is like the Tim Taylor of lights. He's like, more power. I love it.
Awesome, and I would love to talk about it. So why do you have a 1,000 watt HPS, and why don't you need a 1,000 watt LED to basically do a just straight replacement? And it's really quite simple, if you will. It comes down to the efficiency. The amount of power that a 1,000 watt HPS is drawing from the wall is 1,000 watts, but it's putting out a ton of heat. And as a result, the efficiency is low, which means that your par wattage is low. So when we look at different types of light, if I want to compare an HPS light and I want to compare it to a cob light or a CMH light, I need to level the playing field. I need to bring the commonalities into play, which is the amount of energy that the light is putting out that the plants can actually use. So when you're talking LEDs like cobs, like this guy, for instance, depending on the efficiency of your system, overall this guy is going to be 50% efficient. But if you look at an HPS, a single-ended HPS, your efficiency is going to be in like the 20 to 30% range. So the amount of power that that HPS is putting out is really more equivalent to the amount of power that 600 watts of LED is putting out, because the amount of waste that it puts out is less, the amount of heat you have to deal with is less, the amount of energy draw at the wall is less. So sure, you can use 1,000 watts to replace your 1,000 watts, but really it's you're like 1.6 times the amount of energy you might need. There's certain things that come into play. What stage of growing are you at? For instance, Ms. Jilly talked about the need for a veg light, which we should talk. We can definitely help you out with. You talked about quarantining areas. The timber lights don't use fans, so if you do have particulates or infestations that you don't want moved around, there's not fans going on, so things can be developed that take care of that. So that efficiency really comes into play in the amount of energy you're drawing, the amount of energy you need to expel, and for folks that are cognizant of their energy usage, or the environments that they're growing in are either very cold or very hot. These HVAC, as I'm sure you know, Subcool, are really important. And how you get rid of that, the amount of cost associated with it, is really important.
Well, I got a challenge for you that I just thought of, Dan. So our breeding room here has some room for a little bit of expansion, especially since now Jill's here. And I didn't really want to throw another 1,000 in this 8x6 area. It's a little overkill. Now, I'm going to be really blunt. We have a breeder that works for TGA, and he runs LED lights, and he's not running your technology, okay? He's running older technology. And he produces seeds, and they are just fantastic. His germination rates are fine. His test rates are fine. Everybody's happy with them. As the breeder and the founder of this company, I care about what the seeds look like as well. And I can tell you that HPS makes big fucking tiger stripe seeds. And historically, some of the older, remember I joked about the light bright type things, they don't make those big seeds. And I got to tell you that Sunshine makes the biggest damn seeds of all. So I would not be object to maybe testing a light side by side with my 1,000 on a couple of plants to see what kind of seed production we get. Because I totally understand everything you just said. I don't have to worry about fans. I don't have to worry about fans blowing the pollen around. This is something that in our breeding rooms, we don't want the male to be disturbed until we want him to be disturbed. So it's best if we don't have a lot of fans and shit running around. So I'll make sure I have your information. We'll talk. I can see hanging like a 600 watt-ish fan as long as I don't need more than about 20 inches of clearance between the bulb face and the top of the plants. I would see what kind of seeds we can produce in there, because we would really like to get away from the big glaring lights in that room.
I think that'd be really, really awesome to do. I think it'd be really neat to see. And there are things that you as a seed breeder and a geneticist would understand as far as the energy needs. And we could really take that into consideration and go, hey, X amount of power is doing this. What if we built the light with the ability to go to X plus Y? Oh, that's not really working. Let's make the ability to go back to X and not screw things up and have everything kind of set it and forget it. So with respect to, and our average customer is growing flowers. They're not growing for seed. So I would welcome the ability to work with you and your growers to see, when growing for seed, are there differences? Are there different spectrum? It's been studied, but it would be really interesting to see with the different tools what can be done. What isn't working is really as important as what is working. So to be able to do that kind of level of testing in a side-by-side environment without upsetting what you have going on, because you have goals for your grow and you have patients that rely on your product. So we can't just go in and say, hey, no worries, we'll just chop off a 1/6 of your garden, slam this in here, and don't worry, right? We want to make sure that it's tested, it's proven, it's going to do what you want or more. So that's really important. And the seed growth may rely on a lot of the principles that are involved in flowering growth. You would be the one that would be able to answer that from a lighting need. How that equates to cobs from HBS is really, I believe, more of a mathematical exercise, but spectrum is always something that is interesting to review too.
I'm interested, because seriously, it'd take me 2 minutes to move my hood left 12 inches, and that clears up an entire area in our breeding room If we could stick 2 plants under your light, and then we will be able to tell you in 70 days what the seed production is like, based on like 9 different environments. Because we've been producing seeds for 30 years. So I can tell you in a heartbeat if we're producing chili bean or vortex or coracle, one of our strains. I know exactly what the seeds are supposed to look like. So this may be some really good data for you, because if you didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday, most people are making seeds now. Every grower on the fucking planet's a breeder now. So we need to know what your lights do when it comes to seed making too. So it's really cool that we kind of fell onto this while we're talking live. So absolutely, I'm excited.
I do have to say that I welcome the opportunity. I wanted to let you know a lot of our customers speak very highly of you. When they chat with you, or when they get a free seed throw out from you, that's a really big thing. So the opportunity to work with you, your expertise in the industry, in the community, really welcome that. Things that you mentioned about how the sun puts out the biggest, best looking seeds. Well, the sun puts out to the tune of 2,100 micromoles per meter squared of energy at high noon. And that'll taper off. In an indoor grow environment, we don't target that kind of lighting needs because the plant doesn't require it. But for seed production, maybe that is something that should be explored, that can be explored without a lot of the negatives like heat dissipation, or like you said, moving the lights. They're a big pain. They're very, very hot. Cobs, you know, I leave this guy on for hours and I can still put my hands on it. It's not a problem. So a lot of those mechanical things come into play that would be important.
Awesome. Well, I've certainly learned a lot from you, and I love it. They've asked me again about the Mendo Dope Cross. So my information on the Mendo Dope Cross would be, keep watching the Weed Nerd. The Weed Nerds that are in the channel right now that watch me 30 hours a week, when Jill's rolling her eyes going, Jesus, you're still streaming. They know. So the Mendo Dope seeds will be revealed on the show live. I'll show them to you in my little hand. I'll show you what they look like. And then we'll come up with some cool-ass way for you guys to get them. I will warn you, though. They're not fucking freebies. I want real test data on this stuff. I am tired of giving out seeds. I gave away the 10,000 Jazz Queen seeds. I don't care about data on that. But these strains that we've sent out to you guys, the Secret, the Heat, the Catalina Wine Mixer, all those strains, I need raw data on. That's why they're called testers. Me and Jill will be making more freebies in the near future, and freebies don't require any data. We cannot release these strains. We would love the data. We would love the data, but we can't release these strains. And again, we make the joke a lot. If you knew what the fucking secret was, you'd be making sure we had the data so the secret will appear on the menu as fast as possible. I want to kick it real quick to some of my mods. Do we have any housekeeping? Did we leave any important question unanswered? I want to kick it over real quick to Dung. How we doing tonight, big guy?
Oh man, this has been amazing, and yeah, I had one question here in chat for Timber, and then I also wanted to get to Method 7 on one last thing really quick too, but definitely shout out Method 7. You guys have been amazing. We appreciate y'all coming on. It's been great. So thank you for that, Timber. Same for you, bro, for sure. So here's this question for you, Dan. This guy says, I'd like to mount the cob driver outside of my bloom room. How long of a wire run is safe? I'm looking at about 12 to 15 feet from the fixture.
So that's a really good question. And there's a pretty simple answer to it. A lot of people like to run their driver outside of their grow area because this thing puts off heat. So any heat you can take out of your grow area obviously is better. So when we wire these, everything is done customized, it's done to spec, and this guy connects to your LEDs. And normally we'll give you like 3 feet because that's all you need to kind of place things around your grow area. But if you're doing something where you have a remote mount, then you want to run things 12, 15 feet away. Maybe you want to place these, you got a lot of them on a wall in a nice organized fashion. The gauge of wire that we use a solid gauge wire, is designed to not have losses over a 12 to 15 foot span. So we've taken into account the type of wire we use, the gauge of the wire, with respect to how long of a wire run are we going to have to deal with. And so that's why we do that. We do it all the time. It's a very common customization that adds no charge to the light. It's just something that we like to offer, so that way maybe you haven't run one of these in the summertime. You don't know if it's going to be too hot or not. So you have that option. One day, I'm going to move it out. I'm going to test. Maybe that works. Maybe it doesn't. You don't have to go to Radio Shack. You don't have to strip wires, any of that. We'll take it into consideration for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. That was amazing. And then Method 7. So I wanted to mention, first of all, that the contest they're doing, they said will end tonight at midnight. The one, post your pictures with the hashtags on Instagram, and then they're going to give away, I believe it was a pair of glasses for that. So yeah, we're going to end that tonight at midnight. So you guys get your pictures in on Instagram, for sure. I'm going to put out the hashtags and the post for it right now into chat. And then the question for you guys was about your alignment with your glasses. What do you guys do with the alignment for your glasses that makes them so much different than everybody else, and why kind of, are they that much better? I know with wearing them for sure, but scientific way.
Alignment, you might mean that the lenses are optically tuned when they're curved. When the lens is curved, it has to be ground asymmetrically. So it's thinner in one spot, thicker in another. That's so when the light comes in and hits a curved surface, it focuses on your eyes properly. Some people say they have a hard time with really curved glasses. That's often because of where their eyes are set, how far apart they're set. If your pupillary distance is a little wider than it's considered normal, sometimes you have trouble with curved pair of glasses, and then you want to look for one that's flat. So flat glass is pretty easy to make optically perfect, and curved glass is really difficult. So we do that all in Italy. They've been doing it for a long time. And we actually shoot a laser. There's a test called the decentering test, and a laser is shot into the lens, and we can actually check the optical focus. And each lens is designed and ground specifically to fit in the frame that we offer. So it actually takes a lot of work to do it right, which is, again, why some of the cheap glasses, you put them on and you might feel a little dizzy after a couple hours because they're not tuned properly.
That was physically bend the lens to get it into the frame.
Yeah, with the cheap ones.
Exactly. And that's why you're never going to get a clear lens.
Yeah, you won't get the clarity. And clarity, when you first put something on, it may not be a big deal. It's over time that if you have a super clear lens, you're getting good light, that's when you just start to chill and relax. And again, as older you get, the more important those things are. So that's pretty neat. I don't know if everybody's probably seen an HPS. I was going to try an HPS lens on. Why don't you kill that light for a second? I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to put one of our lenses on front of the camera and see if you can see the color balance. So we're running an HPS bulb in the background, 1,000 watts. If I put my lens over the camera,
oh yeah,
that it just color balances.
Oh yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm sure most of the weed nerds have been in a garden, but if you haven't, that's what's going on. So that's just blocking precisely 590 nanometers, and yeah, we call that the magic moment. Anyway, just wanted to share that with all the viewers that may not have seen this going on.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. I mean, I never get tired of it. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I will let everybody know on the panel and in the show. I will be doing the after DJ show. The reason that we do it, shut it off and shut it on, if I turn on any music right now, the wonderful information that we have recorded on the internet will be muted. So we kill this one and we crank another one up, and we don't give a shit if they mute the next one, because we're going to say fuck a lot, and we're going to do a lot of stupid shit we shouldn't do, and they don't care if they kill it. So please come back on and join us on the music show. I don't know what the theme will be tonight. We'll talk a bunch of mad stuff. We'll also continue with the auctions and giveaways. I'm going to go get my little bag of tricks out. We'll do a little bit more stuff. I want to thank everyone for coming. Method 7, Timber Grow lights. Make sure you check them out. The links have been put up in the chat. Malik, please throw those up again real quick. I'd like to thank Miss Jill for coming on the show. It's not lost on me that not only do I have an awesome partner who's smoking hot, but also grows really good cannabis and comes on the damn show. So shout out Shout out to Big Sid, who endures my wrath. One day we will get the fucking soundboard working and working properly. So thanks very much. And Pocket Sid. So we'll see you guys.
Sounds terrible.
Pocket Sid. We'll see you guys down the road. You know the deal. Cue it up, Mr. Nice. Do something nice for somebody. Be excellent in the world.
Hey, this is up, cool weed nerd. Get your bowls,
And your bongs.
your pipes, your
And
vaporizers.
your big fat blunts.
It's time to get high with the weed nerd. Well, I'm a weed nerd. Just call me smoke a lot. Don't give me that nigga on that crack. Now we know study got weed nerd. Nothing but the high grade. So won't you come my way? Weed nerd. Just call me smoke a lot. Don't give me that nigga on that crack. Now we know study got weed nerd. Nothing but the high grade. Smoke a lot of herb,
Come on, weed nerds, let's all get down to that old school sound with that K.
On the next show, guys.
Shovel in my hand, putting in work. Weed nerd, connoisseur, growing the killer in the backyard with the mountain gorilla. Game spiller, still another. What you think? Miss Jill's got tips on growing the dank cheesequake. Aldo, Indo funky, time wreck hash laced in my blunt seed. Skunky, smelly, space bomb sticky. Stepped in the dough, got the whole team with me. Iggy Pops, my city's hot. Ukiah, California, got the green on lock. Chillin' in my weed crop, blowing some herb. Dope boy, OD, yeah, I'm a weed nerd.